Chapter 860. Thank you very much. The Dragon King didn't say too many words of gratitude. After receiving the soul, he thanked Tianyun in a grateful tone. The Dragon King wouldn't just thank him like that. He would definitely reward Tianyun later. This is the soul that almost killed his son. Tianyun must have given this soul to him, which is equivalent to giving him a huge favor. Young Master Long fainted on the ground after his soul was separated. The torture he had been through all this time had made him extremely tired. When Dragon Mother saw this, she immediately ran over and picked up her son. He's fine. He's just a little exhausted. He'll be fine after a little rest. Tianyun said, Thank you. Thank you. The Dragon Mother was very grateful. Then, she brought her son to his room to rest. The Dragon King kept the evil soul and looked at Tianyun. Friend, can you take a rest first? There's no hurry. I'll help the Dragon King solve some problems first. The necklace in Tianyun's hand was still flickering with red light, which meant that there was more than one evil soul hidden in the dragon's body. What's the matter? The Dragon King asked doubtfully. His face immediately darkened. Could it be? That's right. I wonder if the Dragon King can trust me and let me solve it? Tianyun asked. No problem. Just do it. The Dragon King didn't have any objections. His son had just been saved, which was more useful than anything else. It could be said that Tianyun's current status was much more important than the heaven-creating divine king's descendant or the king of the heavens' descendant. The Dragon King would at most give some face to the heaven-creating divine king's descendant, but he definitely wouldn't trust him. Now that his son had been saved, how could he not trust him? Immediately, Tianyun's figure flashed and grabbed one of the elders. The elder was immediately shocked. What are you doing? There's an evil soul hidden in your body. I'll help you separate it. Then, Tianyun's eyes flashed, and a black light shot out from his eyes. A surging power flowed from his hand into the elder's head. Immediately, a scream was heard. A pitch-black soul rushed out from inside, screaming in pain. How did you find out I was inside? The evil spirit race screamed miserably. His soul was relatively weak, so logically speaking, he should not have been able to detect it. When everyone saw this, their faces changed. They thought that only young Master Long would be possessed. They didn't expect that even the elder would be possessed. All of a sudden, everyone's hearts trembled. Could it be that there were others who had been possessed? You don't need to know that. Tianyun brandished the evil spirit divine sword and slashed down, completely killing the soul of the evil spirit race. He would not keep it like before and let the Dragon King vent his anger. After that, he continued to rush to the side, grabbing one of them and pulling out that soul. The evil spirit divine sword swiftly slashed down, and without a single word, the soul was easily killed. Following which, he continued to rush to other places. He caught one and forced out its soul, easily killing it. The Dragon King, who was following closely behind, was shocked. He did not expect so many people to be possessed, and they were completely unaware. It's about time it's basically gone. As for the other corners, I'm not sure. At least in the main city of the Dragon City, there isn't a single evil spirit race. Tianyun looked at the Dragon King and said in a deep voice, Why are there so many people possessing you? It seems that your dragon race's physique is very suitable for being possessed by the evil spirit race. If we don't discover it in time, I'm afraid there will be endless troubles in the future. This king also did not expect such a situation to occur. They hid themselves too deeply, and I was unable to sense them carefully. May I know how you managed to find out? The Dragon King asked. It's because of this necklace. As long as it emits a red light, it means that the evil spirit race is attached to it. Tianyun handed the necklace to the Dragon King and said, I've heard of this necklace before, but I didn't expect it to have such an effect. The Dragon King shook his head. It's a good thing you're here. Otherwise our dragon race would have fallen into disaster. There's no need to thank me. Let's settle the matter first. Tianyun took out a storage ring and handed it over to the Dragon King. There are many necklaces inside. You can distribute them to your clansmen and let them deal with them. Generally speaking, as long as they discover it in time, I don't even need to do anything. They can easily deal with it. All right, I'll accept this. Let's deal with this matter first. The Dragon King nodded. May I know how to address you, friend? I'm Tianyun, also a descendant of the King of the Heavens. I'm currently the second elder of the Fengtian Divine Kingdom. Tianyun announced his identity. A descendant of the King of the Heavens. The second elder of the Fengtian Divine Kingdom? The Dragon King's eyes lit up. Could it be that you're the second elder who allowed the Fengtian Divine Kingdom to suppress most of the Divine Kingdoms? Yes, I am. Tianyun smiled. What a coincidence. I didn't expect you to be someone from the Fengtian Divine Kingdom. The Dragon King shook his head and said, Our two countries have always been on good terms. When we were besieged last time, we immediately sent more people over, but by the time we came to help, you had already settled it. Because we didn't want to completely expose the relationship between our two families, we didn't say anything. At that time, I heard that the second elder of the Fengtian Divine Kingdom was very powerful. I didn't expect it to be Brother E. This is really amazing. The Dragon King called Tianyun brother, which meant that he already regarded Tianyun as an equal. This is a small matter, it's not worth mentioning. Now, it's better for the Dragon King to settle everything before we talk. Tianyun smiled. All right, then brother, you can go to the elegant residence to rest first. When I'm done, I'll come find you immediately. The Dragon King immediately arranged for someone to take him to the elegant residence. After Tianyun followed the Dragon King to the elegant residence, he temporarily rested there while waiting for the Dragon King to deal with his matters. After he stayed here for a few days, the Dragon King finally appeared in front of Tianyun. He seemed to be in a good mood. Brother E, this necklace is really magical. It was so easy to find the evil spirit race, and there was no mistake at all. The Dragon King felt that it was very magical. At first, he was a little worried that he might have made a mistake, but later on, he realized that there was no mistake at all. Of course, the necklace wouldn't make a mistake. Only the evil spirit race would shine, unless the cultivator swallowed the blood of the evil spirit race. If he dared to swallow the blood of the evil spirit race, how disgusting would that be? Under normal circumstances, this won't be a mistake. Tianyun smiled. Chapter 861. Yes, I am here to form an alliance. Tianyun said, I've always heard that our two countries have a good relationship. Logically speaking, we should form an alliance. Then, when he heard the rejection, he felt that something was wrong and came over to take a look. Who would have thought that I would discover such a thing? I never thought that the evil spirit race would take advantage of this and continue to invade the dragon race. Yes, I also did not expect this. The evil spirit race's loopholes are not small. I asked around and found that those who were possessed were all unconscious. They didn't know who attacked them. When I woke up and found that there was nothing wrong, I followed him back. The Dragon King said in a low voice, They want to infiltrate deep into our dragon clan and gradually replace us. This is truly despicable. Tianyun nodded. This was exactly what he was thinking. The status of the dragon clan was extremely high. Coupled with the abundance of resources, they belonged to the superior race that devoured everything. It was impossible for the evil spirit race to let it go. It was the same reason as devouring the phoenix race. To them, it could be said to be a great supplement. How could it not seep in? Possession had too many drawbacks. If there was no value to it, no one would try it. For example, there were so many cultivators out there, but why were there so few who could possess others? The main reason was that they had no value. The value of the dragon race was extremely high, so it was not surprising that they had taken over their bodies. However, our dragon clan will definitely agree to the alliance. However, it will only be with the Fengtian Divine Kingdom. Everything else has nothing to do with us. The Dragon King was as cold as ever. He couldn't be bothered to befriend the other divine kingdoms. No problem. We're just forming an alliance. We don't have to send envoys to each other. Actually, when the evil spirit race invades, we can unite and make a plan to counterattack in time instead of sitting still and waiting for death. Tianyun said, That's not a problem. It's quite easy. The Dragon King nodded. As long as he did not interfere with the management of the dragon race, these alliances would definitely not be a problem. Etiana naturally understood the conflict in this aspect. Most forces would be conflicted, or rather, he was conflicted. They were originally in an alliance. If they sent someone to interfere with the management, it would be too exaggerated. No one would like that. This was equivalent to a stranger coming to one's house, and the stranger was constantly pointing fingers. No one would like that. All that's left is to eliminate the evil spirit race. This time, we must completely eliminate the evil spirit race. Etienne said solemnly. That's easy. I've always had a deep hatred for the evil spirit race. I've wanted to get rid of them a long time ago, but I don't know how to find them. The Dragon King nodded and said, now that we have this necklace, it will be much easier. We can definitely make the evil spirit race unable to hide. All right, I'll leave this area to you. I intend to make a trip to the Heavenly Abyss Forest to see if there are any survivors there. Although the evil spirit race vehemently denied that there was no such thing, since there was a problem there, I believe that even if it is not there, it must be nearby. Etienne's eyes flickered. This area just so happened to be an area that the 10 stars couldn't cover. Or rather, it could be said that this area's senses were slightly weaker. Moving around here would undoubtedly be much safer. That's exactly what I was thinking. However, there are still many things to deal with in the clan. Otherwise, I would have gone with you. The Dragon King's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. How could he not be angry when he thought of his son and so many of his clansmen being possessed? He wished that he could find all of the evil spirit race's lair in the heaven realm and exterminate them all in order to quell the anger in his heart. Dragon King, leave the matters over there to me. You just have to take care of the matters in the clan. Etienne knew the Dragon King's current situation. Even though he had done a lot of things in the past few days, there were still a lot of things that he had not done. As for brother, he's saving my son. As for the reward, just as the Dragon King was about to speak, Etienne shook his head and interrupted him. There's no need for that. Back then, when the 3 realms was in trouble, the dragon race defended the heaven realm with their lives. Logically speaking, everyone owes you a favor, so there is no reward. The Dragon King, being able to continue to guard the heaven realm, is already the greatest reward. Etienne said in a deep voice. The Dragon King was startled, but immediately nodded and said, okay, then I won't say anything more. Brother E, if you need anything, we will do our best to help. After saying that, the purpose of Etienne coming here was basically achieved. Ding completed side quest, rescue the Dragon King's son. Reward, 500. 000. 000 EXP, 500. 000 crazy point, 100. 000 proficiency. At the same time, Dragon Race's overall favorability is 100 points. It was easy to get EXP and occasionally do some side quests. The reward he got was quite good. Immediately after he left, when he was about to walk outside, a somewhat familiar Dragon Race person walked past him. Etienne's eyes narrowed. After looking at the person, he found that this person was really familiar. Etienne hurriedly moved and stopped in front of the person and asked, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" "Huh?" "So it turns out to be young Master Long's benefactor. I don't know what question you have. As long as I can answer it, I will answer it." This person was middle-aged, and his cultivation was not weak. He was already at the 3rd layer of Saint King stage. Previously, when he was assisting the Dragon King in the Great Array, he found that the proportion of human bloodline was relatively large. In fact, this is not uncommon. Only a small part of the Dragon Race has the bloodline of the Dragon Race, but the Dragon Race recognizes its existence. After all, this is not the bloodline of the Dragon Race, but the bloodline of the Dragon Race. "Do you have a son and a daughter named Rinlong and Rinjiro?" Etienne asked. "You know Rinlong and Rinjiro?" This person was obviously surprised. "Are you really their father?" Etienne's eyes lit up. He saw that this person was quite familiar. Rinlong looked somewhat similar to him. So he boldly guessed that this person could be Rinlong's father. And after asking, it was really true. "Yes. I wonder how they are now?" Rin Filong asked excitedly. "They are in good condition, but you have not returned to the Dragon Race, so you have been very worried." Etienne sighed. Sure enough, they had come to the heavenly world. With their strong cultivation, it was naturally impossible for them to descend to the mortal world. They would be blocked by the dragon race. Unless their cultivation was a great realm lower, it would be impossible to descend to the mortal world. We also want to descend, but the current situation does not allow us to. You can see that. Ren Filong said helplessly. That's not a problem. As long as the two of you are fine, I will go back and inform my big brother. Tianyin smiled and said, Ren Long is now my big brother. I did not expect to find the two of you in the dragon race. Chapter 862. After chatting with Ren Filong for a while, Tianyin knew that their situation was not bad. They had all become elders here. If Ren Long came up, he would be able to directly come to the Dragon Clan side. There was no need for him to wander around. When he returned, he would tell Ren Long and the others about this matter. If they really did not want to stay in the mortal realm, they could come to the Dragon Clan. After all, their parents were elders here, so the treatment they received wouldn't be bad. Especially since their talent was not bad, if they came here, they would definitely be able to display their skills. After chatting, he quickly headed to the Heavenly Abyss Forest to see what was going on. The evil spirit race accidentally spilled the beans. Even though he kept denying it, he still heard some clues. Hurry up and get rid of the internal trouble. If we attack, it will be a pincer attack. Tianyin was most worried about this kind of situation. If they did not eliminate the evil spirit race first, if they waited for the evil spirit race's reinforcements to arrive, they would be in trouble. That was why he strongly urged everyone to eradicate the evil spirit race. No matter how uncooperative they were, they had to put down their grudges and eliminate the evil spirit race first. The Heavenly Abyss Forest was not too far from the Dragon Clan, and it was a pretty good training ground. There were many demon beasts inside, and it was very suitable for cultivators with low cultivation. The Dragon Clan liked to let their clansmen go there to train. The cultivation of the demon beasts, there was neither high nor low, and there were many good spirit medicines. Therefore, not only the Dragon Clan, but also many other cultivators. With Tianyun's extremely fast speed, he quickly arrived near the Heavenly Abyss Forest. He didn't know if the Dragon Clan had leaked the news, but the sooner he could settle the matter, the better. The Heavenly Abyss Forest is indeed strange. Tianyun's eyes lit up. When he looked down from the sky, the strange thing about the forest was that the deeper he went, the more he went downwards. In the center of the Heavenly Abyss Forest, it had already turned into an abyss that led to the bottom of the ground. Some of those towering trees grew directly on the cliff of the abyss, not just one or two, but densely packed. If he accidentally fell down, it would not be a big deal. He just had to climb up the tree. He did not even need to know how to fly. After he arrived, he glanced around and immediately took in the surrounding situation. There were many cultivators harvesting spiritual herbs nearby. This Heavenly Abyss Forest was so vast that Tianyun couldn't see the end of it. However, although there were treasures of the world here, no one dared to make this place their territory. There were simply too many demonic beasts here, and it was difficult to defend against sneak attacks from all directions. The terrain was very disadvantageous. As such, there had never been any faction here. However, there were still some abandoned cities here, which proved that living here was not feasible. At most, they could only stay here temporarily. It was impossible for them to stay here for a long time. If we hide here, it will indeed be difficult for 10 stars to cover this place. Tianyin looked up at the sky. The area covered by the 10 stars hadn't reached here. The King of the Heavens hadn't truly sealed the skies. He could only control an area. However, this was already quite powerful. At the very least, he could suppress an area as his own territory. Anyone who trespassed into his territory could be easily killed. The areas that were coincidentally covered by the 10 stars were all very good areas. Most of the cultivators were moving in this area. When he first arrived here to investigate, his gaze swept across the area and immediately locked onto an area in the distance. He immediately sensed the aura of the evil spirit race there. In that area, there were a few cultivators searching for spirit medicines everywhere, wanting to search for treasures here. Are there any spirit medicines in this area? It's so close to the exit. Zhaohua looked around and saw piles of trees. He couldn't see a single spirit herb at all. If we continue to go deeper, our strength will not be enough. We can only try our luck outside. When we meet a powerful demon beast, will you be able to block it? Another Xianghua snorted, then looked at his junior sister and said, Don't you think so, junior sister? The little girl looked around vigilantly and said seriously, Senior brothers, be careful. Don't smile mischievously. Master has taught us to be careful. Junior sister, you're exaggerating. This place is so outside. How can it be dangerous? Xianghua laughed. No matter what, we must be careful. Junior sister coldly snorted. Yes, yes, yes. Seeing their junior sister so serious, the two senior brothers shook their heads helplessly. Their junior sister was good at everything, but she was too cautious. The cultivation of the three of them was not high, only at the spirit core stage. They planned to look for spirit medicines or hunt some low-level demon beasts. This was the most basic experience. If they couldn't reach the standard, they wouldn't be able to return to the sect. Immediately after they took 2 steps, the junior sister quickly pulled out her long sword, stared at the front, and shouted, There's a situation. The 2 senior brothers hurriedly prepared. Then they found a middle-aged man in front of them, which made them suddenly speechless. Junior sister, calm down. It's a fellow cultivator who just happened to pass by. Xianghua put away his weapon and smiled. Fellow cultivator, are you here to gain experience together? Almost. I'm here to hunt. I'm really sorry for scaring you. The middle-aged man smiled slightly, looking like he was harmless. The junior sister slightly relaxed her vigilance. At least it was not a demon beast, and seeing a cultivator, she was a little relieved. It's okay. By the way, what are you here to hunt? Is it the moonlight beast? Xiaohua asked. No, it's to hunt you. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 arms suddenly appeared behind the middle-aged man and quickly rushed in front of Xiaohua. He opened his huge mouth and swallowed Xiaohua, not waiting for Xiaohua to react. The big mouth could fit Xiaohua's head. It wanted to swallow Xiaohua in one bite. Run, run! This scared them, and they hurriedly ran away. But how could they be as fast as the middle-aged man? The middle-aged man obviously came prepared, and in the blink of an eye, he had already swallowed Xiaohua. Xiaohua was so scared that his face turned pale, and he staggered and fell to the ground. Save me! Xiaohua shouted in horror. Xianghua and the others pulled out their swords and stabbed the monster, but the evil spirit race was even faster. The 2 arms on his back had 2 more weapons, and he fiercely whipped them, sending them flying. Go to the side. It will be your turn soon. Finally, there's some food, and it looks very delicious. The evil spirit race laughed and continued to open his mouth to swallow Xiaohua. Just as he was about to swallow it, a figure had already flashed to his side, grabbed his head, and pressed it against the ground. With a pung sound, he almost fainted from the impact. It really didn't take much effort to find someone to lead the way as soon as I arrived. Chapter 863. Tianyun suddenly rushed down and instantly controlled the evil spirit race, giving them a big fright. This could be said to be a divine soldier that suddenly saved them. Zhao stared blankly at Tianyun. He had already given up all hope, but now that he saw the evil spirit race that was about to devour him being controlled, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief, feeling as if he had just survived a calamity. Xianghua and the others were the same. They all stared blankly at Tianyun, not knowing whether he was an enemy or a friend. If one of them left, and another one that was even more ferocious came, they would be dead for sure. Xianghua and the others' legs went soft, not knowing what to do. They were still sitting on the ground, paralyzed. They were all stunned by the evil spirit race just now, and now they were paralyzed on the ground, unable to move. Little junior sister, should we run away immediately? Xianghua said with a trembling voice. It's better not to run, so as not to anger him. Little junior sister's face turned pale. She was frightened by this scene. But if we don't run, what if he wants to eat us like that monster from before? Xianghua expressed his worry. If we eat it, can we escape? Little junior sister shook her head. Thinking of Tianyun's speed, they couldn't even see it clearly. How could they escape? Immediately after, Tianyun raised the evil spirit race. His eyes flashed with a bright light and looked at the evil spirit race. Look at me. The evil spirit race was filled with shock. When he raised his head to look at Tianyun and wanted to say something, he immediately felt as if he was looking at a whirlpool. His consciousness was quickly sucked in and gradually disappeared. Very good. Tianyun nodded his head in satisfaction. This evil spirit race's cultivation was not high. It was only at the core transformation stage, but it was very easy to hunt cultivators here. After controlling the evil spirit race, he turned to look at the three people and said, I advise you to leave quickly. Don't stay here, it's not that safe here. With that, he grabbed the evil spirit race's head and flew away, leaving the three of them looking at each other in dismay. They all thought that Tianyun would do something to them, but who would have thought that nothing would happen? In reality, Tianyun wouldn't do anything to them. Who is he? Why is he so powerful? That monster was at least at the core transformation stage, right? Xianghua was shocked. It doesn't matter who he is, as long as he doesn't attack us. Just now, I thought we were done for. Zhao shuddered, recalling that bloody mouth. He felt that he would have nightmares for a long time. Little junior sister looked at Tianyun's back as he left. Her beautiful eyes flickered. No matter who he is our savior. Both of them looked at their junior sister's eyes and shook their heads. This was obviously a situation where their hearts were secretly in love. They didn't expect that even after working so hard, they were still not as good as a passerby. After Tianyun grabbed the evil spirit race and flew away, he came to a remote area and put the evil spirit race down. Where is your base? Tianyun asked. At the bottom of the heavenly abyss forest. The evil spirit race answered truthfully. Sure enough, they are hiding at the bottom of the heavenly abyss forest. This answer was not unexpected. There were so many places to hide in the heavenly realm, and the heavenly abyss forest was very good. There were many demon beasts here, and there were often cultivators coming here, which meant that there was always food coming here. How could they not guard here? Especially here, the 10 stars couldn't detect this place, so this was definitely a paradise. Under the lead of the evil spirit race, they quickly flew forward. After passing through layers of forest, they finally arrived at the depression in the central area. Here, it was as if a huge meteorite had smashed down and then smashed a huge pit here. It looked very spacious, but now it was full of trees, and it didn't look as spectacular as when it was bare. Along the way, Tianyun interrogated him about the general situation, such as how many people were hiding below and what they were plotting here. People knew a little, that there were many evil spirit race hiding below, but there were very few purebred ones. There were at most 10 purebred ones, and the strongest ones were at the Saint King stage. Their descendants were all bred by capturing cultivators. As time passed, their numbers would increase, eventually reaching a very shocking number. As soon as these evil spirit race were born, they would not be allowed to come into contact with their biological mother. They would immediately be brought outside to undergo devilish training. They would be forced to hunt demon beasts or cultivators, nurturing them into an extremely vicious evil spirit race. In short, there was basically no humanity to speak of. Even if they had the bloodline of the human race, it was meaningless. The evil spirit race that had long been nurtured into an extremely savage race would only listen to the orders of the evil spirit race. For example, the evil spirit race that had been captured was a human race through and through. It was just that he had even devoured his own race. Originally, he had wanted to capture that woman and bring her back so that he could reproduce. However, he did not expect that someone would suddenly appear out of nowhere, ruthlessly intercept him, and capture him. It's the same as those fellows from before who are worse than beasts, constantly plundering the women of other races to reproduce. Thinking of that scene, Tianyun's eyes were filled with killing intent, and he rushed down faster and faster. At the same time, he used his spiritual sense to investigate the surroundings. There were generally no problems, and there were cultivators moving around. If they continued like this, they would either become food or be caught and dragged to the bottom of the abyss. These evil spirit races were probably laughing even in their dreams. With so many cultivators nearby, there was an endless supply of rations. However, Tianyun was getting angrier and angrier in his heart. He never thought that they would be able to hide here. Then, he quickly descended, At the bottom of the heavenly abyss forest, there was also an extremely vast area below. There was also a lush forest growing underground. Even without a trace of sunlight, it was still extremely lush. At the corner of the bottom, there was a special tunnel that led underground. Going down was the place where the evil spirit race was hiding. The hiding area was very careful. If one wasn't proficient in divine inscriptions, they wouldn't be able to discover this entrance. Even if Tianyun didn't have anyone to lead the way, he would still be able to find this entrance. However, he had to rely on his powerful strength to find it. This concealment technique is truly ingenious, as expected of a foreign expert. If it wasn't for the fact that my cultivation is a little stronger, I really wouldn't have been able to find it. Tianyun's eyes flickered. His appraisal eye quickly went deeper inside. And after finding a safe spot, he extended his hand and crushed the evil spirit race that was grabbing him. Following that, he was burned into a pile of ashes by the inextinguishable fire. Chapter 864. After Tianyun came in, there was no need for him to lead the way, so he killed him easily. After coming in quietly, his soul sense instantly covered this area, and he carefully explored the situation in all areas. The powerful spiritual sense of a divine king easily covered the entire area, without any difficulty. He just didn't want to alert the enemy, and he didn't want to let these beasts slip away. His cultivation was very strong, but he couldn't suppress them by force. After all, there were many cultivators imprisoned here, so he couldn't suppress them at will. If it was all the evil spirit race inside, Tianyun would suppress them and kill them with a slap. This was undoubtedly very easy, but they had captured a large number of cultivators, so he could only sneak in and save them. His figure gradually disappeared, and when he sneaked in, there was a burst of laughter in the depths of the passage. The few cultivators I went to capture just now were all dumber than the last. When they saw me, they thought I was one of them. Bullshit. I'm the same race as them. It's disgusting. That's right. They were all dumber. They all thought we were the same race, so they didn't have any wariness. I also caught a few women just now. This time we can play again. We can catch a lot of cultivators every day. These cultivators are really stupid. They thought they were killed by demonic beasts. Last time, that group of people even brought their master, saying that they wanted to find corpses, who knew that this would be even better. They could capture all of them in one go. Thinking of the taste of those people, it's really good, it suits my taste. They were all discussing. There were many cultivators locked in the cages beside them. Their hands and feet were tied, and the tendons of their hands and feet were broken. Even if they weren't locked, it would be difficult for them to escape. Most of the survivors were women and children. As for the men, they had already been eaten by them. There was no way they would be left. As for the children, they didn't want to raise them, but when they were hungry, they would devour the children. The children were more delicious. They must have been put at the back to slowly taste. They were not anxious at all. They were lying there. There was no life in their eyes. They were completely in despair. They came out to train, but who knew that they would encounter a group of monsters, so they were trapped here. "You monsters! Master will avenge me!" One of the girls shouted, her eyes filled with anger. "That's right, you monsters. Even if we die, Master will avenge us. I will kill all of you monsters, a bunch of trash. Master will come and save us. At that time, you will all die." Some were in despair, while others had just been captured. Thus, they all had high hopes for their masters, hoping that their masters would be able to find them. Another bunch of daydreaming fools. It would be best if your master were here. We can't wait to bring more experts over. We can catch them one by one and eat them. It's a great tonic for us. That's right. Shout louder. Even if you shout yourself hoarse, no one will care about you. One by one, they laughed out loud. They were the caretakers of this place and would occasionally go out to hunt. The real territory was naturally in the inner region. The outer region was just a cage. It would be much more convenient to set the cage outside. After capturing them, he threw them into the cage and returned them to the headquarters. Therefore, the cage was quite spacious and could accommodate thousands of people. This cage would never be full, because when there were not enough people, they would be captured and used as food. Yes, it's useless, The cultivators who had been imprisoned for an unknown period of time had eyes filled with despair. They all wanted to commit suicide. However, after committing suicide, it would be useless. They would all be eaten. They had all personally witnessed the cultivators beside them being eaten bit by bit. Just thinking about it made them feel disgusted. However, it was still rather difficult to commit suicide. They were all cultivators, so biting their tongues to commit suicide was not realistic at all. Basically, they would not die. The aura of despair gradually enveloped the entire area, and also affected the cultivators at the side. They had been holding on to hope before, but now that they saw the cultivators who had been captured, their hearts turned cold. Was there really no way to escape? Continue shouting. Why aren't you shouting anymore? The evil spirit race glanced over. They just wanted to hear the curses. The more vicious the other party's curses, the better. In any case, they had nothing to do here. Dong, dong, dong. At this moment, the sound of footsteps approached them step by step. The heavy footsteps immediately attracted their attention. Who's back? I wonder if he will bring back many cultivators. If there are a lot of them, we can split them up and eat them right now. The evil spirit race even licked his lips. The one who appeared in their line of sight was not from the same race, but from Tianyun, who was walking over step by step. As soon as he appeared, he looked at them coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. Who are you? When they saw Tianyun, they immediately became vigilant. A weapon quickly appeared in their hands, and they surrounded Tianyun. This unfamiliar face was obviously not one of their own. There weren't many of them to begin with, so they would remember all their faces. Tianyun waved his hand, grabbing their necks in the air and lifting them up. He continuously swayed his feet in the air. His mouth could only emit yi of sounds. He could not make any other sounds, not even half a word. Immediately after, Tianyun waved his other hand, and with a pa-pa-pa sound, the iron chains binding them turned into a pile of powder that fell to the ground, and the cage that imprisoned them turned into a pile of ashes. They were all dumbfounded. The sudden change caused them to be flabbergasted, and they were unable to react to what was going on. They all thought that they were dead for sure, and that it was impossible for them to survive. Who would have thought that a youth would appear out of nowhere and not only liberate them, he would also control the guards, kill them? Tianyun threw out the 3 evil spirit races that he had picked up. Their powers were all sealed, and they couldn't even make a single sound. The cultivators who had been imprisoned for a long time had their eyes filled with shock, but soon after, there was even more anger in them. They randomly picked up things and threw them at the evil spirit race who had fallen to the ground. If there was nothing, they would punch and kick them. In any case, they just wanted to vent the anger in their hearts. Although they hadn't eaten for a long time and had been tortured to a terrible state, when they erupted, each of them was more powerful than the last. 3 core transformation stage evil spirit races were beaten to death just like that. Chapter 865. I'll leave this place to you. Whether it's the ones who broke in or the ones who escaped, I'll leave them to you to deal with. Kill them all. Tianyun glanced at the dumbfounded cultivators and added, just like you, they were tortured. As for what you think, that's up to you. When the 12 golden hairpins saw them, their cold gazes immediately softened. Seeing that they had suffered the same fate, they naturally could not be heartless. After explaining things clearly, Tianyun walked straight into the depths of the abyss. He seemed to be taking one step at a time, but the next moment, he disappeared from everyone's sight. After Tianyun left, the group of people stared blankly in the direction in which he had left. Who is he? Savior? They stared blankly at the entrance, then at the 12 golden hairpins. They did not know what Tianyun had meant. The 12 golden hairpins did not say much. One by one, they took out food and all kinds of clean clothes for the women to wear or eat. At the same time, they said something and comforted the trapped people. After entering, Tianyun walked through the long corridor in 2 or 3 steps. After passing through this walkway, what came into view was a huge winding staircase. It went down in circles endlessly. It was as if after walking out of this corridor, he had arrived at another abyss. Who are you? The guards on the side hurriedly raised their weapons to attack. However, with a flick of Yi Tianyun's hand, the guards turned into ashes, leaving nothing behind. Yi Tianyun walked forward and looked down the bottomless pit in front of him. He discovered that at the bottom was a huge array. Upon closer inspection, he realized that this array was a transportation array. He had not expected that there would be a transportation array at the bottom. This made him very surprised. Where did this teleportation array lead to? However, the situation that had unfolded now made him very angry. Beside this transportation array, there were several blood ponds with many corpses in them. The corpses of the cultivators could be seen with the naked eye. A steady stream of blood flowed down the lines of the array and filled the entire transportation array. On the side, there were 3 evil spirit race as presiding over something, constantly chanting, as if they were chanting an incantation. Yi Tianyun frowned and jumped down. Boom! He stepped on the teleportation array, and with a loud noise, the teleportation array was dented, and it was directly destroyed. The host and the 3 evil spirit race beings were directly sent flying. They died before they could even scream. It could even be said that they had turned into ashes before they could even see what had happened. The cultivations of these 3 evil spirit race masters weren't low. All of them were at the Saint King stage. They should be 3 of the 5 remaining evil spirit race masters. Yi Tianyun didn't care about their lives and simply stomped them to death. Who are you? Those familiar words rang in his ears once again. Was there nothing else to say other than these words? Yi Tianyun turned his head and saw that there were 5 thrones on the side, 2 of which were occupied by people at the Saint King stage. Of the 5, 3 were dead, of course. Only 2 were left. When they saw Yi Tianyun suddenly appear and kill their companion with a single kick, they were scared out of their wits. They all knew the cultivation of their companion. The fact that he was killed by a single kick was enough to prove how terrifying his cultivation was. Is it important who I am? Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and pinched the void. The 2 of them were immediately lifted up. No matter how they struggled, they couldn't break free from Yi Tianyun's restraint. Then the 2 evil spirit race masters were dragged over by Yi Tianyun. After arriving in front of him, Yi Tianyun looked at them coldly and said, "Why are you drawing a teleportation formation here? Humph! Even if we die, we won't tell you." They weren't afraid of death at all. Although they were a bit cruel, they had a lot of backbone. Won't tell you? Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and grabbed the head of one of the evil spirit race masters. He immediately used Soul Search to extract the memories of the evil spirit race master. Previously, his cultivation was relatively low, so it was a bit difficult for him to use Soul Search on Saint King stage cultivators, but now it was different. With his cultivation greatly increased, it was relatively easy to use Soul Search. Even if he couldn't search all of the memories, at least he could search some of them. After a while, the evil spirit race's head suddenly exploded, along with its body. It really gave people a fright. I found a lot of information. It seems that you arranged this teleportation formation to teleport to the underworld? Yi Tianyun shook his head and said, "It seems that the underworld is really your paradise, but your people in the underworld are all dead. Even if you go down there, it's useless." What? The evil spirit race master was dumbfounded. He didn't know what was going on. Yi Tianyun grabbed his head again and began to search his soul crazily. The memories he obtained weren't very complete, so he wanted to search again. When the evil spirit race master's memories were crazily searched, his eyes rolled back. Very quickly, blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. It was a tragic sight. Yi Tianyun had never held back when dealing with them. A moment later, the evil spirit race's ancestor also exploded and died. The speed of the search was too fast, to the point that they couldn't withstand it, resulting in their bodies exploding. Yi Tianyun's eyes flickered. He roughly knew what was going on. They wanted to open the underworld teleportation formation and wait for their companions to rescue them. Since they could only move around in this area, they dug a deep pit. There were many evil spirit race people living here, so it was perfect as a hiding spot. Old ancestors? The commotion here was quite big, so many evil spirit race people came down from above. There were all kinds of races mixed together, and there were even some with the bloodline of the dragon race. It was obvious that they had captured a lot of people. They were truly despicable. When they saw Tianyun, their eyes immediately turned red, and they said angrily, "You actually killed the ancestor. Fight him to the death." The group of people had long since believed in the 5 ancestors and had been completely brainwashed. There was no way to save them. "It's time to end this." Tianyun stepped on the ground, and with a boom, he flew up, and then with a flip of his hand, he fiercely pressed down on the tunnel, and a huge palm pressed down from the sky. The tyrannical giant palm shattered the tunnel inch by inch. Before the evil spirit race in the room could even react, they were already completely dead. Chapter 866. After Tianyun destroyed this place, he quickly left the passage. There were also many corpses outside. It was obvious that the evil spirit clan had come up from below, or some of them had come back, but they encountered the 12 golden hairpins and were easily dealt with. The 12 golden hairpins cultivation was very strong. Even the weakest among them was at the core transformation stage, so as long as it was not a Spirit King stage cultivator, they could deal with them easily. "Leave this place." After Tianyun came out, he looked at them and led the way out. The group of cultivators followed. With the help of the 12 golden hairpins, they had recovered a lot of strength so they could quickly keep up. Only some of the more serious injuries needed someone to support them. Tianyun did not speed up his pace. Instead, he slowly walked outside. He was not in a hurry at all. The situation here had been resolved. Logically speaking, he should be able to breathe a sigh of relief, but he was still frowning. They will be here in a few months' time. Tianyun's face was gloomy. When he was searching through the memories of those 2 fellows, he discovered an extremely terrifying thing, and that was that these evil spirit races had used the transmission array to contact their own race. He did not expect that the teleportation array could not only lead to the underworld, but also serve as a communication array that could allow them to contact their clansmen in the ancestral land. After contacting them, the other party said that they had already sent powerful reinforcements. They would arrive in at most 3 to 4 months, or at least 2 months. This meant that the evil spirit clan's army did not have much time left. In just a few months, there were still many things that needed to be planned. After all, they had just started their operation not long ago. After a comprehensive cleanup, there were still many aspects that needed to be dealt with. Who would have thought that they would only have 3 to 4 months? Less than half a year? This was too rushed. It could be said that in the blink of an eye, they had already arrived. This matter must be spread out and reported to the 3 realms as soon as possible. This was not a joke. There was not much time left. Even if they had any grudges before, they had to let go of them now. If they still fought for power, they would not even know how they died. "It seems that I have to race against time." Tianyun hadn't expected them to arrive so quickly. He had thought that there would still be a long time, but it seemed like the other party couldn't wait any longer and was madly attacking him. If they could hold on, they could continue protecting the 3 realms. But if they lost, all of them would be finished. After exiting, Tianyun waved his hand, and they flew together with him. They didn't even need Tianyun to carry them. They could easily fly up. In fact, if one's cultivation reached the Spirit King stage, he would be able to fly easily. It was equivalent to using an invisible spiritual power to bind them, and then dragging them up into the sky. It was that simple. Under Tianyun's lead, they quickly flew out of the area. When they flew outside, Tianyun put them down and said, "You can leave now. There won't be any danger here." Some of the cultivators were pleasantly surprised. They kowtowed to Tianyun to express their gratitude and quickly left the place. Most of the cultivators knelt in front of Tianyun and did not leave. "What do you mean by this?" Tianyun frowned and said, "We want to follow our benefactor. Our sisters have already told us that our family members have already been killed. We only want revenge in our hearts and want to kill all the evil spirit races." "That's right. Our only motivation now is to kill all the evil spirit race. So please, benefactor, take us in." They all knelt on the ground and begged Tianyun to take them in. They had nowhere else to go. Their loved ones had long been plundered and eaten in front of them. They were filled with anger and despair. Now that they had come out alive, they had already lost their motivation to live. All they wanted was revenge. Apart from revenge, they still wanted revenge. Master, we will be responsible for training them. We won't burden you at all. One of the 12 golden hairpins immediately stood up and pleaded. They all had the same experience, so they didn't need to communicate too much. They already had a great tacit understanding with each other. Good. Etianyan looked at them and said, "You have your own rights. I won't object to taking them in. But in return, you have to take good care of them." "We will." The 12 golden hairpins shouted in unison. "Very good. I'll give you a task now. Kill all the evil spirit race in this area. I believe you all know the specifics." Etianyan's eyes flashed. "I promise to complete the task." The 12 golden hairpins' eyes were full of surprise. They immediately stood up and quickly left the area with the injured. Some of them found a place to rest. These people were handed over to them. They were the subordinates of the 12 golden hairpins. Ding! Successfully subdued Hua Yu as a divine general. Reward: 500. 000 EXP. 20,000 crazy point, 20,000 proficiency. Ding! Successfully subdued Yu Fong as a divine general. Reward. At this time, notifications kept popping up. They all became divine generals. Etianyan looked at the notification and didn't feel surprised. They chose to follow the 12 golden hairpins, which is equivalent to following him, so the reward will naturally go to him. Etianyan looked at the back of the two girls, then disappeared from the area with a single step. In the Heavenly Abyss Forest, the powerful evil spirit race has been killed, so there is no need to worry about them. That's why he let them do this task. Kill all the evil spirit race in this area. This is their task, and it is also a task for the new recruits to gain experience. In a blink of an eye, Etianyan quickly returned to Fengtian Divine Kingdom. As soon as he saw his grandfather, he hurriedly said, "Grandpa, quickly issue the order to gather all the alliances here. There is a very serious matter to announce." He is now going to announce the situation of the evil spirit race's attack. There is not much time left. He needs to start immediately. Is the evil spirit race going to attack? Yuanlong is not a fool. Looking at Etianyan's expression, he knows what is going on. Yes, it is only 3 or 4 months at most, maybe even less. Etianyan said truthfully. "Well, I will go and issue the message now." Yuanlong was shocked. But now he can only fight with everything he has. Etianyan's eyes were burning. He clenched his fist and said solemnly, "This is a fight to the death. I only hope that the evil spirit race is not too strong." Chapter 867. After the news was released, many rulers of the celestial nations came one after another, not daring to be negligent. After all, the power of the 10 stars was still there. Who would dare to go against the Fengtian Divine Nation? The Fengtian Divine Nation had always been famous, but as time went by, they started to decline, and their prestige started to diminish. But overall, they were still quite terrifying. They were a little afraid, but they had to come to the Fengtian imperial capital. They were not afraid outside. Now that Etianyan had displayed his terrifying power, they did not dare to resist at all. If they resisted, the 10 stars would suppress them, and their imperial capital would immediately be reduced to ashes. Their strongest force was gone. What else could they use to fight? The most prosperous place was the imperial capital. Now that the imperial capital was gone, how could they resist? Soon, they gathered one by one. The lowest level was the empire, and no third-rank forces came. It was not that they looked down on the third-rank forces, but there were too many of them, and it was undoubtedly much simpler for the empire to give the order. "King Yi, why have you gathered us this time?" They all looked over, but they looked at Etianyan more because the one who really shocked them was not Yuanlong, but Etianyan. They knew that the real power was Etianyan, not Yuanlong. "Let our second elder explain." Yuanlong gestured to Etianyan to explain the situation. "The situation is relatively simple. The evil spirit race is preparing to invade. We do not know how strong the enemy is, but they are definitely not weak. At least one of them is above the God King stage. Tianyun said seriously. More than one God King? And this is still a conservative estimate? They were all dumbfounded, and their faces turned green and white. This was quite a shocking thing. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. If that was really the case, they would be in great danger. Yes, this is only a conservative estimate, and it might be more. Previously, we sent 2 batches of experts to attack, but they were stopped. The third batch this time would only be larger than the previous batch. When I said 1 God King stage expert, I just wanted you to be mentally prepared. According to my estimation, there are at least 3 of them. Tianyun said calmly, maybe even the late stage. Maybe even the 8th or 9th level of the God King stage will appear. As for Saint King stage cultivators, they are like cabbages in the market. This wasn't a joke during the meeting. It was possible that there would be more than 3 God King stage cultivators. Saint King stage cultivators would definitely be as common as cabbages. He guessed that there were at least dozens of Saint King stage powerhouses. For the 3 realms, Saint King stage powerhouses are relatively rare, but for the outside world, they are equivalent to cabbages that can be found everywhere. They looked at each other, not knowing what to say. The impact of this news was too great for them. He had thought that the heaven-sealing God nation would say something, such as an integration plan, but who would have thought that they would say something so terrifying? Then how much time do we have to prepare for this? One of the kings asked a crucial question. The longest is 4 months, the shortest is 1 month, Tianyun said honestly. What? Everyone stood up in shock and couldn't even sit on their chairs. This time was too short, so short that they couldn't believe it. Thinking that they would arrive here in such a short time, everyone panicked. If it was an ordinary evil spirit race, they certainly wouldn't worry, but in the face of so many God Kings and Saint King stage cultivators, how could they not panic? Elder E, is there any basis for this? One of the kings had a dignified look on his face. He felt that this news came too fast and too strange. He couldn't believe it. When I went to the evil spirit race's hideout, I found out about it through soul-searching. Tianyun said indifferently. Maybe they're just imagining things. In fact, it's not that fast. One of the kings comforted himself. Even if it takes a year or a half, or even 10 years, they will eventually come. Tianyun looked at him coldly and said, We are preparing in advance. What's wrong with that? Everyone looked at each other and saw the different expressions in each other's eyes. Some of them didn't believe it, some were shocked, some were afraid, there were all kinds of emotions. Among them, there were some who didn't believe it. They all thought that Tianyun wanted to take advantage of this crisis to control the power in his hands. However, they didn't say it out loud. They all chose to nod. Now I suggest that everyone prepare. The detailed strategy is up to you to decide. After all, this time the enemy is coming aggressively. They may come through any area. We must know where to come from, so that we can prepare a strategy. Tianyun directly threw the specific strategy to them, Yuan Long, and other senior generation leaders to decide. It's not that he is a hands-off leader, but many of the people present know how to arrange the strategy. After all, this time he is not fighting alone, but the entire heaven realm. But I suggest that you must follow the instructions of Fengtian Divine Kingdom. Tianyun said the most important point. Without a leader to control everything, it is easy to fall into chaos, so it is necessary to distribute the work. What you want, we have to give you. One of the kings couldn't help but ask. Yes, Tianyun said simply. I object to this. If you abuse your power and transfer our resources, when the time comes, we won't be able to attack. Won't we suffer a great loss? One of the kings thought of this matter and felt very unhappy. When we formed the alliance, I said that we need absolute power. Don't you know that? Tianyun looked at him coldly. But we can't do that. If we listen to you completely, won't we be finished? Yes. I also support King Luyu. If all our resources are transferred, won't we suffer a great loss? They expressed their dissatisfaction, thinking that they might abuse their power and transfer all their resources. If you don't listen, you can get out of the alliance now. When the time comes, don't come begging us on your knees. Tianyun's eyes turned cold, and he directly said, He can't be bothered to use the title of World Savior to suppress them. It is up to them. If they don't come, then scram. Good. You said it. Maybe it is all nonsense, not the truth. You are just taking advantage of the crisis to scare us so that you can steal our resources. If we want to leave, then leave. We won't regret it. Chapter 868. Sure, if you want to leave, you can leave now. By then, we won't care about your situation. You could do whatever you want. Our Fontion Divine Kingdom is not a savior, so we can't care so much. Etienne waved his hand and couldn't be bothered to say anything more to them. They had clearly agreed on it before, but now they were rebounding. This is not beyond Etienne's expectation. After all, it's hard to gather them with coercion. The cohesion is too weak. If they had only agreed because of threats, it would be even more dangerous. Therefore, Etienne couldn't be bothered with them. He was not a savior. Since someone wanted to die, they couldn't blame him. We don't care. We've been here for so long. The evil spirit race might not even dare to come. Yes, it's a waste of time if we leave now. With one person objecting, the others became bolder and left the alliance. They didn't plan to join this alliance. In the blink of an eye, 4 or 5 country lords chose to leave the alliance. However, this was only a small portion. Most of them didn't choose to leave. They chose to wait and see, or were willing to listen to Etienne. Etienne glanced at them coldly. These country lords' rankings were not low. Some were even in the top 10 forces country lords. Among them, the country lords who were previously in the top 2 chose to sit there calmly and didn't say a word. They either chose to wait and see or not choose to leave. Have a safe trip. Etienne gestured for them to leave. There was no need to keep these kinds of people. They would be unsociable in the future. Let's go. The 4 or 5 country lords weren't willing to hand over their divine kingdoms to outsiders. They also didn't want to listen to Etienne and the others' orders. They especially didn't believe Etienne's words. It might be a conspiracy, a reason to openly plunder resources. They definitely weren't willing to do this. They would only think that those who stayed were fools. They were the real smart ones. After they left, Etienne looked at the king, who continued to stay, and said calmly, "Who else wants to leave? If you continue to stay here, it means that you're acknowledging what I've just said. All orders must be obeyed. We will definitely obey the sky, sealing, godly kingdom's orders. The late emperor has already instructed us to obey the sky, sealing, godly kingdom's orders." The ruler of the first-ranked, tyrannical, godly kingdom smiled faintly, indicating that he was willing to stand beside Etienne. "We are also willing to stand by the heaven-sealing divine kingdom side." The late emperor also warned us. The ruler of the moon dragon god kingdom, who was previously ranked second, also chose to stand on their side in a friendly manner. The other rulers who wanted to leave were shocked. They had not expected the top 2 rulers to follow the lead of the Fontion Divine Kingdom. Why was it the previous rankings? Now that Etienne had displayed his strength, the rankings had changed. In everyone's hearts, Etienne's side was the strongest celestial kingdom in the heavenly realm. Now that 2 celestial kingdoms had chosen sides, some of the rulers who had been hesitating immediately made up their minds and chose to listen to the sky-sealing, godly kingdom's orders. "It seems like you guys trust me." Etienne smiled. "That's right. The late emperor has always said that the sky-sealing, godly kingdom is the leader of the heavenly realm. Be it in the past or now, it is the leader of the heavenly realm. Since that's the case, how can we disobey?" Each of them spoke better than they sang. Etienne narrowed his eyes as he observed their expressions. He knew that they were all vixens. They were just trying to figure out the big picture. Everything would depend on the situation in the future. For now, they had made their decision. It would be the stupidest thing to do if their relationship became strained. "I know that all of you have some doubts in your hearts. Or perhaps you think that we will plunder your resources openly." Etienne said indifferently. "To be honest, the sky-sealing godly kingdom is not interested in your resources. The main thing is to integrate and support each other when the time comes. Otherwise, when the time comes, no matter how many resources we have, they will all be used by the evil spirit race." No matter what they were thinking, Etienne was unable to see through them. However, being able to stay and listen to their instructions was the best outcome. Of course, all of the kings nodded. They had never seen the terror of the evil spirit race before, but their ancestors had recorded it. Just this point alone was very clear. Following that, Yi Tianyun handed the authority to speak to Yuan Long and explained the general situation. Very quickly, the meeting ended. Yi Tianyun did not continue to stay here, but immediately rushed to the mortal realm and the netherworld to announce this matter. Before leaving, Yi Tianyun urged them to continue to increase their efforts to exterminate the evil spirit race. Exterminating all of the evil spirit race in the heaven realm was the most important thing at the moment. Others might not know if the evil spirit race had been exterminated or not, but Yi Tianyun was very clear about it. After all, the mission had not been completed, so of course the evil spirit race had not been exterminated. Although those people had left the alliance because they had already formed an alliance before, the completion rate of the mission would not decrease. Otherwise, he was afraid that his experience would be reduced, and his mission completion rate would also be reduced. Very quickly, when he arrived at the mortal realm to announce this matter, everything went very smoothly. They immediately began to prepare to resist the evil spirit race. No one chose to leave or did not believe it. The netherworld was even simpler. It was as if it was their own home. After the announcement, all of them agreed with Yi Tianyun's words. If they wanted any resources, they would take them out without a second thought. The difference was simply too great. The main reason was that the heaven realm had suffered too little damage from the evil spirit race. The mortal realm and the netherworld had suffered more severe damage, and they all knew how terrifying the evil spirit race was. That was why they listened to Yi Tianyun's orders. It seemed that sometimes, when people were too comfortable, it would be difficult for them to unite. All right, the rest is more or less done. Yi Tianyun stared at the sky. His next mission was to check the entrance passageway to the three realms. Of course, the three realms had an entrance passageway, but if one wanted to leave, they would not be able to leave the three realms without powerful strength or powerful treasures. This was like being trapped in a cage. Without strength, there was no way to break out of this cage. Then, he stomped on the ground and turned into a sharp arrow that flew into the sky. The area he was currently in was the mortal realm. The mortal realm had a passageway out, but it was usually tightly shut. It should be said that there was originally a passageway out of any place. It was just that under the combined efforts of the three divine kings, the divine inscriptions had enveloped a large area of the sky. This was equivalent to forming a protective barrier to resist the invasion of outsiders. Chapter 869. After the passageway was opened, a whirlpool-like passageway appeared. Yi Tianyun quickly drilled into it. After entering the passageway, not far ahead, there was a pitch-black hole that seemed to lead to an unknown region. He quickly flew forward. After passing through the passageway, he saw a pitch-black world. Outside, there were countless stars and planets floating in the sky. This is the outside of the three realms. There is no air at all. But this is not a problem for him. Around him, there are countless boulders floating on the side. There are also several pitch-black whirlpools. This pitch-black whirlpool gave him a feeling that if he drilled into it, he would die without a doubt. Outside this whirlpool, there are countless boulders, forming a wall, surrounding it. After he flew out, he turned his head to look back. In front of him is a huge planet, but this planet looks very strange. It is actually divided into three layers. This is the three realms. The top is the heaven realm, the middle is the mortal realm, and the bottom is the netherworld. The layers are stacked together, and now they are all covered by layers of thick clouds. From here, he can clearly see the situation inside. After breaking through to the God King stage, Yi Tianyun's various aspects have greatly improved, and his eyes can see further. Now, he can clearly see that Shi Shuiyun is busy with other things. Many god kingdoms of the netherworld are constantly gathering, setting up teleportation points in various places. Teleportation points definitely need to be set up, and it also needs a lot of effort. This is the reason why they formed an alliance. Every region needs to set up teleportation points. No matter how you fly, you will definitely not be faster than teleportation points. With the support of teleportation points, it will be much faster, far faster than flying. The mortal realm's protection is indeed a bit weaker. Tianyun looked up and down at the protective barrier. Although the mortal realm's protective barrier has many layers of protection, it is still a bit weaker overall. The main problem is that under the pressure of the heaven realm and the netherworld, the middle layer has some pressure, making the spiritual power thin, causing it to be more fragile. Because of this, the three god kings continuously strengthened the mortal realm's protective barrier, making it stronger. But no matter how much they strengthen it, it can't be stronger than the other two realms. Tianyun looked at the heaven realm and the netherworld realm. The heaven realm was made up of 10 stars that covered a large area. At the same time, it formed a protective array that firmly enveloped the heavenly realm. The underworld was the weakest region on the side. There was an ancient underworld divine pagoda there. Once one got close to it, they would be sucked in immediately. Tianyun could feel the strong suction force. Anyone who approached would be immediately sucked in. It would not differentiate between friend or foe. As for the other areas, they were much tougher and more difficult to break through. The main thing was that there were layers of thick barriers that were difficult to break through. However, just because it was difficult to pierce through didn't mean that it couldn't be pierced. He just needed to put in a bit more effort to do so. However, this barrier wasn't just for defense. It could also be used to counterattack. If a few Divine King stage experts came, I'm afraid they could easily break this barrier. Tianyun shook his head. He didn't think it would be difficult. If a Divine King stage expert came this time, it wouldn't be a problem for them to break this barrier. This was basically equivalent to an empty shell and had no effect at all. I just hope that the one who came this time is a bit weaker. Tianyun sighed. He looked at the well-constructed three realms. This was the best defense left by the three Divine Kings before they left. Then, he turned his head and looked outside. It was pitch black outside, and there were rocks everywhere. Logically speaking, it was impossible to find this place. After all, it was blocked by all kinds of rocks. Moreover, the seemingly terrifying pitch-black whirlpool could be used as a natural defense. Tianyun flew over quickly. There was no resistance at all. He flew forward easily. Along the way, he looked around. Finally, he found a relatively safe way out of the pile of rocks. There were so many places, but there was only one place that he could enter and leave at will. If he flew randomly in other places, he would be smashed by the rocks or sucked into the black whirlpool. At that time, he would definitely die. Tianyun looked at the black whirlpool and the appraisal. I showed him the detailed information. Black whirlpool, extremely strong suction force. After being sucked in, if your cultivation is not strong enough, you will be easily torn into pieces. Warning, warning. The black whirlpool is extremely dangerous. Do not go near it. It even issued a warning, which meant that with his current strength, if he went near it, he would definitely die. This black whirlpool is really terrifying. It's probably caused by space shattering. If I go near it, I'll definitely die. Tianyun turned his gaze back to the entrance. It was still covered with a layer of divine inscriptions, blocking the entrance. From the outside, it looked like there was no entrance, and he couldn't see the situation of the three realms. Without a doubt, this was a formation set up by the three Divine Kings before they left to prevent intruders from discovering it. However, the current situation seemed to be meaningless. The formation had been mostly destroyed, and the effect was negligible. It was obvious that it was destroyed by the second batch of evil spirit race. They probably flew towards the netherworld as soon as they arrived, but who knew that they would be sucked in? Let's set up a formation here first. Tianyun quickly flew to the gap and landed among the rocks. He started to carve divine inscriptions to set up a formation. Very quickly, he carved a bewildering formation here, temporarily blocking the entrance. He knew that with his current level, he would not be able to deceive the evil spirit race perfectly. The evil spirit race clearly knew about the stronghold here, so it was useless no matter how hard they tried to hide it. They already knew the location of this place, so there was no way they could hide it. What he needed now was to make a mark. If someone destroyed this place, he would be alerted immediately. This was the main point, so that he would know that someone had barged in, and he would immediately declare war. At that time, he would kill his way out and fight with them fiercely, reducing as much as he could. It's done. Etianyun took a deep breath. He had set up several divine inscription formations here, sealing this place tightly. It was not an easy task to set up a formation on these rocks. They would often fly around randomly. If it were to hit someone, the impact would not be inferior to being hit by a God King stage expert. On the way, he had been smashed several times. If it wasn't for his thick skin, he would have been smashed into a meat patty. After checking again and confirming that there were no problems, he flew back and did not stay here any longer. Right now, he was waiting for the evil spirit race to come and prepare for a battle to the death. Chapter 870. After setting up the great array, Etianyun quickly returned to the heaven world and began to search for the evil spirit race. He wanted to complete all the quests now. He doesn't want to complicate things, he just wants to solve the internal problems first. However, the heaven realm is basically mobilized. Most of the cultivators have gone to search for the evil spirit race. This is the order issued by him. It is equivalent to the order issued by the Fontion Divine Nation, so the search is very crazy. After a week of searching, all the evil spirit race who were hiding in the heaven realm were finally eliminated. This process is really difficult. They hid one by one, and they hid in several places. The main reason is that Etianyun destroyed the evil spirit race's nest before, so they hurriedly looked for a place to hide. Who knows where they can hide from the entire heaven realm? They are indeed hiding very deep, but because Etianyun joined the search, everything became simple. At most, it will take some time. Ding! Completed main quest, unify the heaven realm, eradicate all the evil spirit race in the heaven realm. Reward, 60 billion EXP, 6 million crazy points, 800,000 SBS. And obtained a new title King of Heaven Realm. King of Heaven Realm. Damage increased by 10 times in the Heaven Realm. The effect of the title does not change, it's just the difference in the region. Overall, it is very useful. Relying on this, his combat power can be multiplied many times. Ding! Successfully accepted the Three Realms' ultimate quest, resist the invaders, destroy them, and complete the true unification of the Three Realms. Reward, 200 billion EXP, 10 million crazy points, 10 million SBS, 10 million proficiency points. And the three titles will be combined into a new title God of the Three Realms. Ultimate Quest. Etianyun's eyes narrowed. This reward is really tempting. It is the most reward in the history of the Three Realms' ultimate quest. But this is the first time he has seen the Three Realms' ultimate quest. Does it mean that it is the final quest in the Three Realms? It seems that now is the time to wait for the war to come. This war can only be won, not lost. Etianyun's eyes flickered, and he immediately started to make preparations, such as forging weapons and setting up a large array with them. The Three Realms entered an unprecedented state of unity. All of this was brought about by Etianyun. It had been a long time since they had such a strong sense of unity. Time passed quickly. 1 month passed, then 2 months. Everyone's hearts were stretched taut, and they didn't relax at all. It was the same for Etianyun as well. He had set up countless formations, and even forged many weapons. All the resources were provided to him for him to forge. Due to this change, the proficiency of his 3 specializations soared crazily. In the end, he actually stepped into the domain of the Creator. Ding! Congratulations on successfully stepping into the final level, Creator Crafting Expert. Ding! As you have successfully upgraded all 3 professions to the ultimate level, you have obtained the title All-Round Expert, All-Round Ability User. Regardless of level, success rate increased by 20%. There's such a thing? After Etianyun obtained the ultimate level Creator, this omnipotent mastery emerged. However, he didn't care. Anyway, the things he was forging now were all within the scope, and he didn't need to be very strong. Right now, he was mainly forging divine weapons, and he didn't forge divine weapons much. He mainly forged divine weapons. After all, the materials for divine weapons were too rare. The materials used to forge divine weapons could be used to forge dozens of divine weapons. Although divine weapons were much stronger than divine weapons, this was a group battle, and they needed to improve their overall strength, not individual strength. However, those with strong cultivations would definitely have to use divine weapons to fight. He was a little selfish, so he wanted the mortal realm to be slightly more well-equipped. The main reason was that the mortal realm was relatively weak, so he needed to take care of it. Although the mortal realm was weak, it was the most difficult place to enter. This seemed contradictory, but in fact it wasn't. This was because when one approached it, it was very easy to be swallowed by the ancient Ming divine pagoda or be suppressed by the 10 stars. This meant that if one wanted to force his way in, he would first have to break through the ancient Ming divine pagoda and the 10 stars. The 3 divine kings were not fools. They already knew that the mortal realm was dangerous, so it was impossible not to strengthen it. They didn't need to strengthen anything in the mortal realm. As long as they strengthened the heaven realm and the ghost realm, it was a compromise. The weakness of the mortal realm was too obvious, and even with their ability, they couldn't easily change it, so they could only choose to solve it in this way. The mortal realm was fragile, and it was destined that there wouldn't be too many strong cultivators left in this space, which meant that if too many strong cultivators came in, it would easily lead to the destruction of the world. Now that the rules were stabilized, those who were slightly above the Spirit King stage would choose to leave the mortal realm. Unlike before, there would be a very strong cultivator in the mortal realm. Of course, unless there was a situation like the last time, where an old man's blood chi was insufficient and his life was about to end, he wouldn't be forced to go to another space. Therefore, Tianyin was slightly biased towards the mortal realm. There was nothing that was absolutely impenetrable, so he had to strengthen it, otherwise there would definitely be problems. Finally, after another month, Tianyin's body shook in the refining room. He didn't even bother to pay attention to the pill he was refining and quickly moved away. The evil spirit race is attacking. Prepare to fight to the death. A few simple words were transmitted into the minds of many rulers. And then he went to the mortal realm and the ghost world to spread the news. Everyone's hearts suddenly shook, and one by one, they stopped what they were doing and looked at the sky with full vigilance. They didn't expect that in just 3 months, the evil spirit race would finally attack. At the same time, in the rubble outside, a huge spirit ship directly crashed into the pile of rubble, turning it into powder. The rubble that was originally strong enough to injure a God-King stage powerhouse couldn't even scratch the huge spirit ship. What the hell is this place? How can it be a death whirlpool? General Long Tay looked at the black whirlpool outside and frowned. He didn't expect that there would be a death whirlpool here, so he carefully avoided the black whirlpool. Even the spirit ship that crashed into the rubble didn't dare to get close to the black whirlpool. Immediately after, the spirit ship easily entered the black whirlpool, and General Long Tay looked back with a trace of contempt in his eyes. What kind of garbage array is that trying to cover up the situation here? It's simply an idiot. Such a garbage place can kill them. It seems like they are trashed to this extent. Chapter 871. After the huge spirit ship crashed into the 3 realms, the evil spirit race's eyes suddenly lit up when they saw the 3 realms in front of them. It's indeed a good domain. The concentration of spiritual power is a bit low, but the core is quite perfect. If we dig out the core, the Lord will definitely be happy. General Long T's eyes lit up. Of course, they didn't care about the resources here, let alone the cultivation place here. These training grounds were not even 1/10 as good as their own. What they wanted was the core of the 3 realms. This core was the core that maintained the operation of the 3 realms. The result was obvious. The 3 realms would completely collapse. At that time, it would be difficult for all living beings to survive in the outside world. If they wanted to survive in the outside world, they would need to have a very strong cultivation. At this level, they would need to be at least at the Spirit King stage to survive in the outside world temporarily. This was a temporary survival, not a permanent one. It couldn't even survive for a long time. This was the reason why the 3 divine kings set up a barrier to prevent them from going out at will. In the beginning, there must have been people who flew out at will, but they didn't go far before they died. They couldn't fly very far with just their body alone. The speed of Spirit King stage was too slow, and it was estimated that they would die halfway before they could reach the next planet realm. Not only was the distance too far, but there were also many dangers around. Just the rocks alone were enough to smash them into meat patties. Therefore, the three divine kings only allowed those with God King stage cultivation to go out, and those with lower cultivation would not be able to go out. According to this situation, if the core was dug out, less than 1% of the cultivators would survive temporarily. As for those who could really survive, it was estimated that less than 1% would survive. Etianyan had seen it from the outside. There was basically no life in the outside world. Even if they escaped from the stone array, it was still not safe outside. As for where the next domain with life would be, who knows? At the same time, Etianyan had already come out of the three realms, and when he saw the spirit ship that had turned into a sharp arrow, his pupils shrank. Spirit ship, unknown grade, unknown effect, unknown ability. Combat power, 1 trillion. The power of a spirit ship had already reached the level of God King stage 8th or 9th layer, reaching the effect of 1 trillion. His appraisal eyes was still unable to analyze the effects within. This was what made Etianyan shocked. It seemed that he would have to upgrade his probing eyes in order to learn more. This spirit ship in front of him had already surpassed his understanding. This meant that this was no longer a divine artifact, but an existence of a higher level than a divine artifact. It seemed like the evil spirit race was definitely going all out to take down the three realms. Unknown spirit ship. Intercepted. Etianyan's eyes flashed, and the evil spirit divine sword appeared in his hand. This was currently his strongest weapon. The rest of his weapons were mid-grade divine artifacts, but they were not divine artifacts. He had to intercept it ahead of time. If he allowed this spirit ship to pass through, it would absolutely pierce through the entire three realms. General, a human has appeared in front of us. His cultivation should be at the early God King stage, not too high. The intelligence officer said immediately. Reckless human. I can't be bothered to pay attention to him. Just a slight scratch, and he'll be reduced to ashes. General Long Tay sneered and looked down on the human cultivator who had just appeared. In his opinion, the cultivators in these places were just aborigines. What kind of power could they have? Immediately after, the spirit ship increased its power and pierced through at the speed of light. It wanted to ignore Etianyan, who was in front of it, and pierce through the three realms. After entering the piercing mode, its combat power began to soar. It was no longer the previous 1 trillion, but 3 trillion. It was a full 300 billion increase in combat power. How terrifying! Don't even think about it. Etianyan's eyes turned cold as he activated the berserk mode in his body. His combat power instantly exploded. 32 times damage mode. Activate. 800 billion combat power. 900 billion combat power. 1 trillion combat power. 3 trillion combat power. 5 trillion combat power. 8 trillion combat power. Finally, under the stacking of 35 times damage, its combat power exploded to 8 trillion combat power. It directly crushed the spirit ship's explosive power. A tyrannical aura was released from his body, causing the surrounding space to distort. It was about to collapse from the pressure of this power. This was the level of most of his explosive power, and it was not the limit. If he stayed in the three realms, he could increase the damage by 10 times, but he had to stop the invaders outside to minimize the damage. At the same time, his body began to grow crazily, turning into a huge evil spirits. The berserk black flames raged in all directions. He wanted to ensure that all the evil spirit races that lived in this space could be easily exterminated by him. Immediately, he rushed forward, raised the evil spirit divine sword in his hand, and heavily slashed down. Evil spirit's world-breaking slash. A deep roar came from his throat. A massive black sword light shot forwards, turning into a long black whip that wanted to cut the spirit ship in half. This power, how is it possible? The evil spirit controlling the spirit ship was shocked, and immediately shouted to his companions, "Quickly, quickly, quickly increase the power to the maximum. This power is beyond the power of the spirit ship." But everything was too late. The eruption was just a matter of a snap of the fingers, and the black whip heavily lashed out. Boom! The terrifying power exploded on the spirit ship, but it did not cut the spirit ship in half. Instead, it was heavily whipped out. The spirit ship twisted wildly in the air, covered with black flames, constantly rolling upwards, swallowing the spirit ship. The penetrative strength within directly broke through the defenses of the spirit ship, constantly suppressing it. Poochie, one by one, the evil spirits madly vomited blood. Even if they did not die, they were seriously injured. Many of them were relatively close to the edge and were directly killed. These were all evil spirits at the Saint King stage, and under such a shock, they exploded into a blood mist. But this was not the end. Etienne's figure flashed and quickly came to the side, and once again fiercely lashed out, without the slightest intention of stopping. Take advantage of the enemy's weakness. With another heavy whip, the spirit ship was sent flying again, and many of the evil spirits inside were blown into a blood mist. But the spirit ship was still not damaged, and only 2 deep marks could be seen on it, but the spirit ship did not explode. This spirit ship was too hard. It was simply terrifying. Chapter 872. When Etienne wanted to send the spirit ship flying again, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The figure stretched out his hand and flicked the spirit ship, and the spirit ship's black sword light was shattered into countless black lights. Etienne's eyes widened in shock. He was confident that this move could even suppress a peak God King stage cultivator. Etienne's eyes widened in astonishment when he saw Etienne's attack. This meant that the opponent that appeared had a cultivation base that was not as simple as it seemed. General Long. Cultivation unknown, martial arts unknown, weaknesses unknown, equipment unknown, overall battle power, 2 trillion battle power, under burst mode, 2 trillion combat power. Etienne's eyes flashed. The General Long Tay in front of him no longer has 8 arms, but 10. This means that this level of cultivation is not God King stage, but a higher level of cultivation. An existence stronger than God King stage. What level of cultivation is that? Etienne doesn't know. His current appraisal, I can't detect it, unless he upgrades it to update the information. However, upgrading requires a lot of crazy point, so it's not necessary for him to do so for the time being. He would rather use it to upgrade other martial arts or divine skills. It's more cost-effective. Appraisal Eye is nothing more than a detailed display of the opponent's data. This is a great help in battle. But for the time being, he only needs to know the opponent's combat power, a full 2 trillion combat power. His astonishing cultivation, coupled with his astonishing equipment, created a terrifying combat power. Sure enough, an extremely powerful existence has appeared. Etienne is not timid. Instead, he is full of fighting spirit, ready to fight. General Long Tay looked at him up and down with a serious expression. He didn't expect such a powerful existence to appear here. If he didn't come out to stop the attack, his spirit ship would have been destroyed, especially when all the people he brought are dead. What's the point of fighting anymore? I didn't expect there to be such a strong existence here. No wonder they died here. General Long Tay looked at him coldly and said, "But it's over. You've killed so many of our people. Even if you kneel and beg for mercy now, and choose to surrender, you must die. Are all of you from the evil spirit race so arrogant?" Etienne and General Long Tay looked at each other, their eyes filled with killing intent. "Whether I'm arrogant or not, won't you find out later?" General Lonta shouted. "Charge in, break through the defenses of this area." Reporting to General, the operators of the spirit ship have either died or been severely wounded. "We have no way of controlling it," someone immediately said with a sound transmission. "Bastard." General Long T's eyes turned cold, and he immediately shouted, "All troops, advance. Kill your way down and occupy this area." As soon as he said that, Countless evil spirit races experts rushed out of the spirit ship. The weakest among them was at the Spirit King stage, while the strongest was at the God King stage. Tianyun swept his gaze across and immediately understood the general situation. There were 3 God King stage cultivators who had come out. There were more than 100 Saint King stage cultivators and more than 1,000 Spirit King stage cultivators. If General Long Tay was included, it would be equivalent to a powerful army, enough to suppress the existence of any force. It was not as friendly as Tianyun thought. There were too many experts sent out, so it was not a problem for them to occupy the 3 realms. But that was before. Now that they had Tianyun, they were fully prepared. Yes, a deafening sound came from above, and a vast energy fluctuation spread throughout the area, and immediately they rushed towards the 3 realms. Without any hesitation, Tianyun swung his sword towards the evil spirit race that was rushing towards him. A black light flashed crazily as Tianyun swung his sword at dozens of Saint King stage experts. The evil spirit set's amazing long-range effect could kill these beasts from afar. Evil spirit devour the heavens. General Long Tay gently waved his 10 arms, and a huge, evil spirit appeared beside him. The evil spirit's ferocious expression made it look like a real demon. Then it turned into a wall, blocking Tianyun's attack. Boom! 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 After the violent attacks hit the evil spirits, they exploded one after another, but it didn't show which side was stronger. But it means that Tianyun can't cause any damage to them, so he can only let them rush down. Your strength is not bad, but it's still not enough. Your opponent is me. General Long Tay took out a huge magic staff. They all like to use magic staff very much. It's just a simple stick, but the level of this magic staff can be seen. It's a high-rank divine artifact. General Long Tay deserves to be called a great general attack. His equipment is too good. It's too good to be true. He could tell that it was a superior grade god artifact just by casually taking out a weapon. The difference between them was not small at all. Is that so? Tianyun's eyes flashed, and he quickly released his doppelgangers. The 3 doppelgangers quickly rushed towards the Saint King stage cultivators and directly went into a crazy killing mode. How can this be? General Long T's pupil shrank when he saw the doppelgangers. He picked up his magic staff and waved it towards the doppelgangers, wanting to smash them. As he waved his wand, it released a dazzling black light. Combined with his extreme strength, countless ghoulish skeletons surged out and flew forward at high speed. Each ghoulish skeleton was powerful enough to destroy heaven and earth. When they came into contact with the rocks, they were easily swallowed. When they were about to bite Tianyun's doppelgangers, a dark sword light shot out at an even faster speed, carrying a red energy. Boom! Those evil spirit skeletons were cut in half just like that, and the overbearing sword light still penetrated forward, killing a large number of evil spirit race powerhouses who wanted to drill into the 3 realms. Didn't you say that your opponent is me? Tianyun's whole body exuded the aura of the dragon god. The dragon god bloodline was stimulated by him, and his power once again superimposed, reaching an incredible battle power. Especially when he triggered the critical hit effect just now, his battle power directly exploded to 3 trillion, reaching an unprecedented heaven-defying battle power. How can he still become stronger? Wasn't that his limit just now? General Long T's face sank. He thought that Tianyun's previous move was already the limit. He didn't expect that it could continue to increase. It was beyond his expectations. Chapter 873. Ding! Successfully killed Evil Spirit Race, 3rd Layer Saint King Stage. Gained 26. 5 billion EXP 1. 4 million Crazy Point, 200,000 SPS. Obtained Evil Spirit Blood, Evil Spirit Bone, Evil Spirit Soul. Ding! Successfully killed Evil Spirit Race, 2nd Layer Saint King Stage. Gained 23. 3 billion EXP 1. 2 million Crazy Point 1. 5 million SPS. Ding! Successfully killed Evil Spirit Race, 4th Layer Saint King Stage. Gained. Ding! Tianyun basically bought all the EXP cards he had, including Crazy Point card, Send Value card, and Crazy Point card. Among them, the EXP card was 345 times, plus 32 times. It was 377 times. As for the other Crazy Point, it was more than 20 times, enough to reach Crazy Point. With so many Saint King Stage and Spirit King Stage experts, how could he let them go? If he wanted to go crazy, he had to go crazy and use all the EXP cards he had. He knew that the gap between him and General Long Tay was not small, and he could even feel that General Long Tay had not used his full strength yet. If he didn't increase his cultivation, it would be difficult to make up for the gap between them. Just relying on crazy mode was not enough. Although returning to the three realms would increase the damage by 10 times, if he could, he didn't want to fight in the three realms. After all, this was a battle between God King stage experts. He didn't want to see the three realms become full of holes even if he won. The three clones killed the evil spirit race in a frenzy. But no matter how crazy they were, there were only 3 clones. The rest of them were too lazy to care about their companions and rushed towards the three realms. Their order was to occupy the three realms, not to support their companions. Soon, many Spirit King Stage Evil Spirit Race and Saint King Stage Evil Spirit Race crazily approached the three realms. But when they were about to get close, a huge dragon roared and fiercely swung its tail, sending a group of Evil Spirit Race away. Those who were hit by the tail directly exploded. If you want to go in, you have to pass me first. The one who came out was the Dragon King. He had transformed into a true dragon, and his huge body was enough to defend the Heaven Realm. On the other side of the Netherworld, another figure suddenly charged out. This figure was an old man with a walking stick in his hand. He looked like he was about to step into a coffin at any moment. I never thought that I would be able to participate in such a great war in my lifetime. I kind of missed the time when I fought with the ancient underworld godly king. The one who came out was a godly king of the underworld. However, even if he had broken through to the godly king stage, his lifespan was almost up. In fact, he wasn't technically a god king stage cultivator. Just like the old ancestor who had broken through to the Saint King stage before, he couldn't increase his cultivation. Because they had not truly broken through, their lifespans did not increase much. However, in terms of the power they grasped, they were indeed infinitely close to a god king. After he appeared, his body blossomed with heavenly fire, burning his own body. Soon, he transformed into an incomparably young body. In the blink of an eye, he had turned into a handsome young man, and the walking stick in his hand had turned into a sword. Intruder die. His gaze turned into a sharp sword as he swung the long sword in his hand, reaping lives in an attempt to stop their invasion. This old man, Tianyin had investigated him before, but he was buried underground and sleeping. Since he didn't come out to harm the world, Tianyin didn't pay attention to him. When he felt the invasion of the outside world, he woke up from his sleep and exerted the last bit of his strength. The other side had a strong combat power, but they also didn't give up. Each one was crazier than the other, and they were absolutely willing to sacrifice their lives. It seems that your fighting spirit is quite strong, but do you think that we only have these few people? General Long Tay sneered. Crush them for me? At this time, a large number of Saint King stage powerhouses suddenly rushed out of the spirit ship. 100, 200, 300. More than 300 Saint King stage powerhouses rushed out one after another, and each of them was not weak. All of them had reached the late Saint King stage. However, they looked really weak and didn't have the same imposing aura as their other companions. It was obvious that they had consumed too much energy on the way here, which led to this situation. There was no doubt that these Saint King stage powerhouses had consumed their energy on the spirit ship, causing this situation to occur. Now that they had no choice but to rush out and fight, devour all of them to replenish our energy. Their eyes lit up. They were already hungry and thirsty. They wanted to devour all the life in the three realms. If they devour all of them, they will definitely recover a lot of energy. The number of Saint King stage powerhouses was already terrifying enough, but now there were suddenly 300 more Saint King stage powerhouses. It really made them dumbfounded. What can they do now? Are there so many Saint King stage powerhouses in the three realms? The answer is no. At most there are more than 100 of them. No more than that. There are more than 300 Saint King stage powerhouses here. It's like there are cabbages in the market. Etienne's heart suddenly trembled when he saw this. If all of them rushed in, no matter how many defenses there are, it will be difficult to stop them. Once they all go in, it will turn into a terrible massacre. Purchase Sword Saint Set. Ding! Successfully purchased Sword Saint Set. Deducted 1 million sin points. Sword Saint Set. 50 pieces of equipment. The user can transform into a Sword Saint. All swords within a radius of 10 miles below high-grade sacred tool can be controlled by the user. Up to 10,000 swords can be controlled. Sword Array. 10,000 swords unite as one. Consumes 100,000 crazy points to detonate all weapons, bursting out the power of all weapons to kill the enemy. This is a set of equipment at the same level as the Evil Spirit set. Because it's mainly used in group battles, he has never used it. But now it's different. He must exchange for so many Evil Spirit race cultivators. Otherwise, he won't be able to kill so many Evil Spirit race cultivators. Give me the equipment. Etienne instantly equipped the Sword Saint set. His body immediately turned into a white robe. The original appearance of the evil spirits turned into a Sword Saint. 2 sword lights appeared in his eyes. Sword come! Show. Tens of thousands of holy tools rushed out of the 3 realms. At the same time, many holy tools flew out of his storage ring. He was already prepared. He knew that the other party will definitely send a lot of people, so he prepared a lot of weapons just to match the Sword Saint set. Suddenly, tens of thousands of holy tool-long swords floated around him. Go! Etienne flicked his finger. Tens of thousands of holy tool-level flying swords pierce through the Saint King stage powerhouses. Each of them contains terrifying combat power, 200 billion combat power. Chapter 874. Tens of thousands of saint-rank flying swords crazily shot towards the evil spirit race in front of them. Each flying sword tore through space, and the surrounding space was cut open by this tyrannical power. After the flying swords swept past, the space was torn into thousands of holes, as if it would collapse at any time. Each of these flying swords had a combat power of 200 billion, which was enough to destroy a star. Wherever they went, everything was destroyed. This scene scared the surrounding evil spirit race to the point that their souls were about to fly away. Such a terrifying flying sword pierced through the air, and even from afar, they could feel the aura of death. Such powerful strength. The eyes of the Dragon King and the others lit up. They couldn't wait for Etienne to become stronger, so that he could kill all these beasts. General Long T's expression immediately changed. He had never thought that there would be someone who could control so many flying swords at once. The tyrannical power was enough to split mountains and shatter rocks, and destroy heaven and earth. Stop right there! General Long Te roared, and immediately rushed forward to block Etienne's attack. However, the tens of thousands of flying swords quickly dispersed. Even if they weren't as fast as General Lonnie, they still had the advantage in numbers. They quickly spread out in all directions, harvesting the evil spirit race in front of them. They didn't need to kill any Saint King stage powerhouses. As long as they were from the evil spirit race, they would harvest them crazily. There were less than 10,000 evil spirit races present, so they could easily attack with so many flying swords. Swish, swish, swish. A streak of sword light pierced through, turning the evil spirit race's huge body into a sieve wherever it went, and it couldn't be any more dead. Successfully killed evil spirit race, 3rd layer Spirit King stage, gain 2. 6 billion EXP, 140. 000 crazy point, 30,000 SBS, gained evil spirit blood. Successfully killed evil spirit race, 4th layer Saint King stage, gained 30 billion EXP, 30 billion crazy points. Ding, so many flying swords began to kill in a frenzy, rapidly reaping many lives. The faces of the 3 divine King stage evil spirit race members darkened. They had no choice but to turn back to block the attack and knock the longsword away. Break! One of the demon gods roared angrily and slammed down ruthlessly. The sharp claws in his hands flickered with black light, and 5 sharp beams whizzed forward as he waved them. Bang, bang, bang. The 5 beams of light streaked forward to strike the 3 flying swords. The 3 sacred tier flying swords were torn apart just like that. The weapons they used were not ordinary. They were all mid-grade divine weapons. But after the Saint tool is broken, there will be flying swords to replace it. It doesn't need to be a Saint tool. As long as it is a soul tool, it can still be used to kill the evil spirit race. If the level of Saint King's stage wasn't high, he could still suppress them. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to level 3 God King stage. Under the frenzied slaughter, his experience quickly soared. He had already gained a lot of experience, and this time, he gained even more. Therefore, he quickly leveled up to the 4th level of the God King stage, and his combat power soared again. Brat, don't be so arrogant. General Long T's figure flashed, and he was already in front of Tianyun. He raised his wand and smashed it down. Originally, he wanted to intercept these flying swords, but after thinking about it carefully, he remembered that the one who released the flying swords was Tianyun. As long as he killed Tianyun, then everything will be over. After the wand smashed down, it instantly locked the surrounding space. If you look carefully, you can see that General Long T's body is releasing a black golden light, which feels like black gold. His original body suddenly doubled in size. This time, General Long Tae is really serious. Tianyun has completely angered him. Combat power 2. 7 trillion. Tianyun's eyes narrowed. His combat power increased by so much in a short period of time, which immediately made him feel great pressure. He is not wearing the evil spirit set, which greatly reduced his combat power. The power of the Holy Sword set is not bad, but in a one-on-one fight, close combat is undoubtedly very disadvantageous. Whether it is defense or speed, both are greatly reduced. When Tianyun wanted to dodge, he found that the surrounding space has been completely locked, as if there is an invisible wall around him, firmly sealing him inside. There is no way to escape. Teleport! Tianyun's eyes flashed, and in the next moment, he appeared outside the space, not daring to forcibly resist. With teleportation, he can easily leave the locked space. This is a true divine skill. The divine skill is to ignore these things and frantically dodge. Boom! After he dodged, the wand smashed down heavily, accompanied by a loud bang. The space in the area that was smashed collapsed, and a terrifying black hole appeared, swallowing the surrounding spatial fragments. However, it quickly began to repair. The domain outside has the ability to repair, so unless it is an irreparable situation, it will quickly recover. How is this possible? General Long Tae is shocked. He has already used quite a bit of strength, but he is still unable to kill a God King. This is a great humiliation to him. For some reason, it just appeared beside him, making him puzzled. Tianyun can't be bothered with his shocked expression. He continuously controlled the tens of thousands of flying swords, quickly blocking the evil spirit race. So far, not a single one is broken in, or even approached. The violent flying swords seem to have transformed into countless guards, killing any intruders without mercy. General Long Tae is shocked, but he does not stop attacking. As long as he does not kill Tianyun, then all his subordinates will definitely be killed. If he is the only one left, even if he wins, he will be blamed. He has brought out so many of his people, and if all of them die, it would be equivalent to his own incompetence. Die for me! General Long Tae roared, once again waving the wand in his hand. The eyes of the skull on it lit up, and when it smashed down, it also immediately locked onto Tianyun's escape space. It is basically impossible for him to escape. This attack is more ferocious than before, with a combat power of more than 10 billion. In anger, his combat power has also increased. Given his current situation, there is no way he can take it head-on, unless he changes his equipment. At least he has the strength to resist. But if he changes his equipment, the tens of thousands of flying swords will lose their effect. The cooldown time for teleportation is not over yet, and it will take at least an hour before he can teleport again. Could it be that he needs to quickly level up? This is obviously not worth it. He has an additional stone in his hand, Cooling God Stone. The Cooling God Stone can quickly recover the cooldown time of 2 hours, but it can only be used 10 times, but it is enough for him. Use! Teleportation cooldown is over. Swish! Chapter 875. Boom! An explosion resounded in the locked space, and just like before, the space was shattered. The result was the same as before. Tianyin easily dodged the attack. General Long's eyes widened. What the hell is going on? I attacked with all my might, but it didn't work at all? What the hell is going on? How did he escape without a sound? Even if it's teleportation, it shouldn't be possible. General Long's eyes were cold, and his heart was filled with anger. When he looked over, he found that many of his subordinates had been killed, especially the Spirit King stage cultivators. The Saint King stage cultivators were slightly better off, but that was the late stage. If it wasn't for the 3 God Kings blocking the flying swords, the losses would have been even more severe. If this continued, they would be exhausted to death. Looking at the densely packed flying swords, General Long's scalp went numb. He wanted to eat Tianyin bit by bit to vent his anger. Where are you going? Tianyin sneered at the side. He wanted to stall for time. With his current situation, he couldn't kill General Long, but stalling for time was not a problem. After he killed all of these evil spirit races, he would definitely level up several times in a row. After leveling up, fighting with General Long would undoubtedly be a lot easier. Impossible! General Long roared, and once again waved the magic wand in his hand towards Tianyin. The result was the same. Tianyin immediately used the Cooling Godstone to teleport himself again, easily dodging the attack. The Cooling Godstone is really useful. Tianyin was very satisfied with the result. If he could stall for time, then the 3 realms would definitely suffer the least damage, and this result was definitely what he wanted to see. What's going on? So strange. Why did it suddenly disappear? General Long's face sank. He felt that this was too strange, but if he looked carefully, it seemed to be a bit similar to spatial teleportation. But if it was spatial teleportation, how could it be so easy to escape? Very good. You have angered me. General Long let out an angry roar. As he roared, the 2 arms on his back exploded into a mist of blood. The burst of blood mist quickly landed on his body. Following that, his combat power soared crazily, especially when it was plated with a layer of blood-red luster. This cruel performance made Tianyin frown, feeling that something was wrong. As expected, the next moment, General Long's battle power continued to soar to 300 billion. Suddenly, his battle power reached 3 trillion. He felt that battle power was not battle power, but a series of meaningless numbers. How did it increase so terrifyingly? However, Tianyin could guess that it was something similar to burning one's essence blood. It was just that they were more ruthless to themselves, directly blowing up 2 arms. It seemed that the effect was not as simple as increasing their combat power. Combat power was just an estimate. As for what the situation was, he wasn't very clear. For example, increasing one's defense could also increase one's combat power, but it didn't mean that one could really crush the opponent after increasing one's combat power. How could he defeat his opponent if he only increased his defense? After the outburst, a bloodthirsty gaze shot out from his eyes, and the wand in his hand seemed to become strange. Go to hell! General Long roared angrily and continued to smash down. A roar came from the wand. Immediately, countless vengeful spirits flew out from it. Just like before, they completely locked down the space. At the same time, countless vengeful spirits tore towards him. Their speed was extremely fast, several times faster than before. After the outburst, all aspects of his strength had greatly increased. It was practically comparable to a divine skill. However, the side effects were definitely not small. With both arms blown up, he would definitely need to rest for a long time. Just as he was about to smash down, Tianyun's figure flashed, and he easily teleported away from this locked space. Even if he increased his power, the space could still leave as he wished. This was the power of a divine skill. He could easily pass through the opponent's space without any pressure. He didn't know what the limit of this teleportation was, but it was fine as long as he could teleport now. Just as he appeared in a corner, a red figure suddenly appeared in front of him, and a thick stench drifted into his nose. His heart shook, and he hurriedly used the cooling god stone. Swish! In the next moment, he disappeared on the spot and appeared in another area. However, just as he appeared, another figure appeared in front of him, swinging a red light at his waist. Go! Etienne's heart sank, and he teleported away again. However, when he appeared again, the red figure that seemed to be attached to him appeared in front of him again, swinging the red wand in his hand at him. If he was hit, he would definitely be heavily injured. Go again! Etienne knew that this red figure was none other than General Long. His speed was simply too fast, so fast that it was hard to believe. After the outburst, as long as he sensed General Long's reappearance, he would immediately attack. Under such circumstances, his cooling god stone was being used up rapidly. If this continued, all 10 cooldowns would be used up. He didn't have any spare cooling god stone, so he couldn't hold on for too long. It could even be said that it would be used up once every breath. How could he continue like this? After he teleported for the last time, he quickly put on the evil spirit's set and threw out the heaven-devouring artifact at the same time, forming a thick shield around him. He also threw out the heavenly rock suppression tablet to defend in front of him. Boom! This time, the wand smashed over again, accompanied by a loud bang. Etienne felt as if his internal organs were about to be moved away, and he was directly smashed away. The heaven-devouring artifact shield could not even withstand for a second, and was completely smashed. Then it smashed into the heavenly rock suppression tablet, and the powerful defensive power of the tablet was also smashed by the wand. The remaining power slapped over, smashing into Etienne's body. Humph! Etienne was smashed upside down, and at the same time, tens of thousands of flying swords fell one after another, floating in the air as if they were ownerless. He immediately suffered some minor injuries, but overall, it was still okay. If he had not replaced his equipment, he would have really been seriously injured by this smash. This power was really too terrifying. 3 trillion combat power? If not me, who else? He didn't expect to fail in the end. This General Long was really too powerful. Kill! Without the flying swords to block, they charged forward in a frenzy. How could the Dragon King and the mysterious old man stop them? Just the 3 demon gods alone were enough to make them suffer. Chapter 876. Many evil spirit races rushed over, and just as they collided with the thick barrier, they immediately triggered the protection mechanism of the 3 realms. 10 stars blossomed with dazzling light, and a thick beam of light blasted out, easily killing the evil spirit race experts that rushed up. Even the Saint King stage evil spirit race experts were easily suppressed. The ancient Ming divine pagoda was equally violent. A terrifying suction force was released, sucking in those evil spirit race beings that were pouncing over. Then, it used the strengthened sky lightning space to suppress and kill them. Even if the ancient Ming divine pagoda could not kill the evil spirit race immediately, it could still trap them inside. When that time came, they could slowly clear the area. However, there was no need for that. The descendants of the ancient Ming inside would help clean up the evil spirit race. It could be said that the ancient underworld divine pagoda was the safest, much safer than the 10 stars. However, in terms of lethality, the 10 stars were indeed stronger. It was a complete killing tool. This scene caused many of the evil spirit races to retreat in fear. They never thought that the 3 realms would be able to unleash such a terrifying defense. Some of the evil spirit races who turned to the mortal realm were also quickly suppressed. If he wanted to go to the mortal world, he still had to destroy the defenses of the netherworld and the heavenly realm. Otherwise, he would not be able to enter. Scram! A devil god roared and slapped down, sending the Dragon King flying. Golden light flickered on the Dragon King's body. He was barely able to block this attack, but he was unable to stop the many evil spirit races. The other mysterious old man was in the same situation. He was repeatedly forced back, and he was pressured to the point of being unable to catch his breath. At the end of the day, their cultivation bases weren't at the heaven-defying level. Thus, they were easily suppressed by the two demon gods. It would be good enough if they didn't die, let alone defeat the two demon gods. There was only one demon god left, and it quickly slammed down towards the heaven realm. With a flip of his hand, his huge palm pressed down fiercely, colliding with the power that erupted from the 10 stars. Boom, boom, boom. The demon god's tyrannical power easily suppressed the power of the 10 stars. Regardless of whether it was the 10 stars or the ancient underworld divine pagoda, they were very effective against cultivators below the God King stage. However, they were not very effective against God Kings. The two divine artifacts were very shocking, but no matter how shocking they could not easily kill a God King. Unless a God King used them, the effect would be different. A mere mid-grade divine artifact scram. The demonic god fighting with the 10 stars roared furiously, and a vast power pressed down, accompanied by a loud sound. The entire heaven realm shook, and all the cultivators inside were shocked. They felt that the end of the world was coming. Then, the 10 stars fell from the sky like meteors. They fell from the sky and landed on the ground, creating 10 huge craters. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that the 10 stars were extremely damaged, but they could still be used after being repaired. But now, there was really no way to suppress it and temporarily lost the ability to defend. When the cultivators of the heaven realm saw the changes in the sky, their expressions changed greatly. Among them, the faces of those who chose to leave the alliance immediately became incomparably ugly. Is this really an attack? When they saw the 10 stars being shot down, they knew how serious the situation was. There was definitely going to be a big attack. This time, they all panicked and hurriedly said to their subordinates, Quick, let's quickly communicate with the alliance and gather together to fight against the evil spirit race. Lord, it's too late, look up. The guard pointed to the sky. Then he saw a lot of evil spirit race people descending from the sky. Among them, there were 7 or 8 Saint King stage cultivators and many Spirit King stage cultivators. As soon as they landed, they immediately began to devour the city. Some of them even destroyed the city first. For a time, the entire imperial capital fell into chaos. Some of them began to kill the evil spirit race people, but basically, they were caught and devoured by the evil spirit race people. Not only did they not cause any damage to them, but they were also devoured by the evil spirit race people to replenish their energy. The Heavenly King's face was pale. This terrifying power was beyond his imagination. Let's go. When the Heavenly King wanted to escape, he saw the evil spirit race people in front of him. Your cultivation is not bad. It will definitely be a great supplement to devour you. The evil spirit race people pounced on the Heavenly King, waved their 8 arms behind them, grabbed the Heavenly King, and then devoured him. The Heavenly King couldn't even resist and was easily devoured by the evil spirit race people. At the moment of devouring, the Heavenly King was filled with regret. Why did he do such a stupid thing? But there was no medicine for regret in this world. They were suppressed and devoured by the evil spirit race people. Not only the Heavenly King here, but the other Heavenly Kings also panicked. They wanted to hurry to find the alliance, but they didn't have enough time to escape. The evil spirit race people devoured those with high cultivation first so that they could replenish their energy. It was useless for them to regret. They were mercilessly devoured. Not only did they pay the price for their selfishness, but they were also irresponsible to their people, so they were all devoured by the evil spirit race. However, some of them still quickly fled to the alliance. After all, there were so many of them, and it was impossible for the evil spirit race to devour them all. They just devoured those with high cultivation first, which was a great supplement for them. On the other hand, the alliance was already prepared. When the evil spirit race people pounced on them, they immediately activated the array and launched a fierce attack. The Spirit King stage evil spirit race could be directly suppressed, and the Saint King stage evil spirit race could be easily pinned down, waiting for the Saint King stage evil spirit race to kill them. Quick! Quick! The Yun Luo Divine Kingdom is under attack. Let's go and support them. One of the Divine Kingdoms that was not attacked immediately went to the Yun Luo Divine Kingdom through the teleportation array. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the Yun Luo Divine Kingdom's territory and rushed towards the evil spirit race. The other Divine Kingdoms also did the same. They all followed their original strategy and supported the other Divine Kingdoms without any hesitation. The overall situation was still manageable. After all, there were many arrays arranged, and there were also many Saint King stage powerhouses. With the help of the teleportation array, everything could be suppressed. This time, the Divine Kingdoms were fighting the enemies crazily. They did not fall into a crisis immediately. On the contrary, it was those who did not join the alliance who fell into a crisis immediately. They were not prepared at all, and they all thought that it would not happen. This was the result of arrogance. They were attacked one after another, and they basically fell into the enemy's hands. On the other hand, Tianyin had already put on the longevity necklace and quickly recovered from his injuries. He first looked at the three realms, then looked at General Long, who was not far away. Chapter 877. After the Heavenly World's barrier was breached, the Ghost World's barrier was also breached. The ancient Ming Divine Pagoda couldn't devour too many evil spirit race, but the key was that these evil spirit race were very powerful. After suppressing the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda, they broke through the barrier of the Ghost World and began to rush in. The war in the Ghost World immediately broke out, and everyone was ready to fight to the death. When the two worlds were invaded, there was no need to say much about the mortal realm. It was quickly attacked by the other evil spirit race. However, there weren't many evil spirit race that went to the Ghost World. Most of them were used to deal with the Ghost World and Heavenly World. But no matter how few there were still a lot of Saint King stage experts. Tianyin's heart tightened when he saw this scene. He hoped that they would be able to hold on. I'll leave it to you. You must hold on. Tianyin quickly recovered from his injuries as he stared at General Long Tay. He had to admit that General Long Tay was too overbearing, and his combat prowess had reached an incredible level. Your world's defense isn't bad, but that's all there is to it. It was still breached. General Long Tay also paid attention to the situation of his subordinates. He immediately turned to look at Tianyin and said coldly, "But don't worry, you will die before them." General Long Tay gently waved his wand, and a red light flashed on it. It was a bloodthirsty light, and Tianyin didn't know how many experts had died under this wand. General Long Tay was really terrifying, worthy of being a great general. Really? I don't think so. Tianyin's eyes flashed, and the system kept popping up in his ears. Ding! Alliance successfully killed Evil Spirit Race, 3rd level Spirit King stage, gaining 2 billion EXP, 500. 000 crazy point. Ding! Alliance successfully killed Evil Spirit Race, 4th level Saint King stage, gaining 1 billion EXP 1. 5M crazy point. Ding! Alliance, all of this was not in fighting, but the whole 3 realms was fighting. After they killed Evil Spirit Race, he also gained EXP. It's just that he couldn't get the items, he only got EXP. This was the effect of unifying. As long as they killed enemies, they would be able to gain experience. Although he didn't get any items, the EXP he got was enough. If he could continue like this, the experience he gained would be enough for him to level up. Once his cultivation increased, his chances of winning would increase significantly. I'd like to see what other abilities you have. In the next moment, General Long T's power burst forth once again. Boom! It was no different from teleportation. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Tianyin. He raised his giant wand and smashed it towards his body. Bang, bang, bang. The force of his wand caused the space around him to tremble, and the space around him began to collapse rapidly. At the same time, just like before, it locked down the surrounding space. It was this small region of space that was compressed and collapsed. Tianyin was also well prepared. He activated the Dragon God and Phoenix bloodlines in his body to the maximum, and his strength was almost stacked to the maximum. With the combination of the Evil Spirit set and the Ancient Desolate set, his strength was stacked to an even higher level, and his combat prowess was stacked to an even higher level. 2 trillion battle power. 2 trillion battle power. 4 trillion battle power. Finally, Tianyun stopped at 4 trillion battle power. He picked up the Evil Spirit Divine Sword and slashed down, triggering the effect of the Evil Spirit Divine Sword. Ding, consumed 10,000 crazy points. Evil Spirit Soar. Boom. With the explosion of the effect, Tianyun's combat prowess increased by another 200 billion, reaching 6 trillion. It's not over yet. The divine rune on the Evil Spirit Divine Sword buzzed, increasing his combat prowess by another 100 billion. It finally reached 7 trillion battle power. It's a terrifying number, but it's still a lot worse than General Long Tae. But at this point, he can only endure it. Boom! A huge wave was released in the dark starry sky. Layer after layer of energy fluctuations spread to the surroundings, and wherever it went, the space instantly collapsed, including the surrounding rocks, were shattered into powder. The damage caused by the battle between the two was too terrifying. The invincible explosion shrouded both of them, and it's hard to tell who will win. Immediately, a figure was blasted away, and it was Tianyun. As expected, he was the first to be blasted away. General Long Tae is the strongest. The evil spirit race in the distance was shocked, and they were filled with extreme fanaticism for their general. But before he could finish his words, another figure was also blasted away from the other side. The situation was not as good as expected, and there were also a lot of injuries on his body. Tianyun's situation was a lot worse than General Long Tae's. There were a lot of injuries on his body, and blood kept flowing out of his body, and some parts of his body even lost a piece of flesh. The gap between the two was not small, and it was not easy to be able to do this. Replace the longevity equipment. He instantly replaced the equipment and began to heal his injuries. Soon, his injuries quickly stabilized, and the blood stopped flowing, and the wounds were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The longevity equipment is amazing, and the recovery speed is amazing. General Long Tae was shocked. He had to sacrifice 2 of his arms to increase his combat prowess, but he still couldn't kill Tianyun, and he could barely fight him once. It's incredible. How did he do this? Did he hide his strength before? General Long Tae's expression sank. This was not a good sign. He only wanted to quickly kill Tianyun and occupy the 3 realms as soon as possible. He really wanted to ignore Tianyun and quickly occupy the 3 realms. But he had no other choice. He had to kill Tianyun, or else he would continue to attract those flying swords, and they would definitely suffer heavy losses. I don't believe it. General Long Tae roared, and the 2 arms on his back exploded again, and a large amount of blood dyed his body red. Immediately after, his body increased by 2 times, and his combat prowess increased crazily. He was really ruthless to himself. Now that things had come to this, he could only explode his arms again to increase his combat prowess. He was currently wearing good equipment, and it was impossible to change to other equipment. If he had stronger equipment, he would have taken it out long ago. Why would he explode his arms again? After exploding his arms, his combat prowess increased crazily again, 200 billion combat prowess, which was less than before. The explosion could not be endless, and the higher it was, the harder it was to increase it. To be able to increase so crazily in one go was already terrifying enough. Chapter 878. 2 trillion battle power. The long string of numbers was almost off the charts. Fortunately, the appraisal eye could withstand it. Otherwise, such shocking numbers would definitely not be displayed. Tianyun did not know what level this battle power was. At the very least, a peak God King stage cultivator did not have such a level of cultivation. Perhaps only an existence who had reached a higher level could burst out such a shocking level. If General Long did not use this kind of self-damaging move, it would really be impossible to reach such a number. Although the loss was serious, as long as he was given time to recover, he could still recover. The main thing was that he came here to complete the mission. If he could not even complete the mission, he would be scolded half to death even if his body was intact, and he might even be punished. Therefore, when it was time to erupt, he would definitely not be stingy. Huff, huff, huff. I didn't expect you to force me to this point. This is really beyond my expectations, but this is a little more interesting. Whoosh! In the next moment, General Long arrived in front of Yi Tianyun. The magic wand in his hand had already changed into a different dark red color. When he waved it, countless wraiths rose up and formed phantoms in the surroundings, enveloping the area where Yi Tianyun was. There was basically no way to escape. Whether it was speed or strength, they had greatly increased. Even if he only had 6 arms, the reduction of arms did not reduce his strength. It only increased his strength. Detonating these arms was like removing layers of armor, becoming lighter and more violent. In the face of such a terrifying power, Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. He did not hesitate to take out the heaven and earth divine sigil. This was the absolute divine sigil of the spirit race. It could increase his damage by 5 times. Heaven and earth divine sigil. Open for me. He stuck the heaven and earth divine sigil on his body. In an instant, the blood essence flowed into his body, and a deep blood mark appeared on his chest. Following that, his battle power soared crazily and directly exploded. 8 trillion battle power. 9 trillion battle power. 200 billion battle power. Logically speaking, a 5-fold increase in battle power should be more than this value. After all, his current base value is around 70 billion, so he should be able to explode to around 310 billion. However, the effect of the heaven and earth divine sigil was limited. It did not mean that it could really explode 5 times the effect for every rank. However, to be able to increase battle power by 200 billion was already quite heaven-defying. At least he had forcibly pulled back the distance, as if he had returned to the starting point of the battle. Boom! The two of them were quickly bounced back under this extreme explosion. The evil spirit divine sword in Yi Tianyun's hand was almost bent by the pressure, and General Long Ti's hand was bleeding from the impact. The evil spirit race S who were watching from afar were all stunned. Their general had actually tied with his opponent again. It was simply unbelievable. One had to know that General Lonnie had lost 4 of his arms to achieve such an effect. What did this human drop? He didn't seem to have dropped anything. So how could he still hold on? What's going on? You can still hold on? General Long Ti's face sank, but after he stabilized his body, he waved his wand again and smashed it towards Yi Tianyun. He didn't stop at all. He directly entered the Berserk War mode. He wanted to crush Yi Tianyun. General Shun, divine, and God. Long, the God and spirit. Divine, he God. God, he God. He God. After all, the heaven and earth divine rune can only last for 5 minutes. If this continues, he will definitely lose. Crazy mode? Not to mention that he doesn't have enough crazy points. He needs 200 million crazy points, which is too much. Even if he has 200 million crazy points, his level is not enough. If he wants to upgrade this crazy mode, he needs to be a peak God King. He doesn't know why he needs such a high level, but even if he has enough, he can't upgrade it. Now, he can only start from other places. For example, upgrading Dragon God Bloodline is a good choice. Just as he was thinking about how to deal with General Long was already in front of him. The wand was already descending from the top of his head. It could be said that each strike was more violent than the last, and the power was terrifying. Heaven-shaking art? Yi Tianyun roared as he gathered 100 million gene of power in his hand and waved it towards General Long Ti. His combat prowess increased, but not by much. After all, General Long Ti's strength was also amazing, so there was no need to fear him. Boom! Yi Tianyun almost vomited blood when he was hit by the wand. I didn't expect this guy's combat power to increase so much. General Long didn't let him go. In a flash, he quickly chased after Yi Tianyun. He turned into a meteor and smashed down from the sky, wanting to kill him. Upgrade Heaven-shaking art. Ding, deducting 5 million proficiency points. successfully upgraded heaven-shaking art to middle-grade heaven-level martial art. Effect increased to 10 billion gene of divine power. Trample the world. Next level requires 20 million proficiency points. Heaven-shaking art? Etienne's eyes flashed. His body immediately became 10 billion gene. He waved the evil spirit divine sword to meet the attack. A huge mountain shadow appeared behind him, covering a large area behind him. At this moment, he seems to have turned into a huge mountain. Even the ancient Ming divine pagoda is dwarfed by it. 3. 1 trillion combat power. With this invincible divine art, his combat power actually soared to 200 billion. As expected of an invincible heaven-level divine art, its power is many times stronger than before. Boom! The two collided again, and the two were sent flying again. The starry sky collapsed again. This time, the two of them fought to a draw again, which surprised the Dragon King and the others in the distance. Etienne was obviously pressured to the point that he couldn't bear it anymore, but suddenly he rose again. What was going on? Was it the final radiance of the setting sun? Damn it, what the hell is going on? General Long Tay almost vomited blood. He thought that he could suppress Etienne, but he didn't expect it to be a tie again. That's what happened. Etienne's eyes were cold, and at the same time, he gave an order in his mind. Upgrade Dragon God Bloodline. Ding! Successfully deducted 50 million crazy points to upgrade Dragon God Bloodline to 8th grade. Next grade requires 100 million crazy points. Etienne didn't hold back. Since he can't upgrade crazy mode for the time being, he might as well use it to upgrade other things. Dragon God Bloodline is very useful. It can greatly increase the effect of strength, and the higher the level, the more amazing it will be. After the upgrade, his combat power increased again. 3. 2 trillion combat power. 3. 3 trillion combat power. 3. 4 trillion combat power. 3. 5 trillion combat power. Chapter 879. After upgrading his Dragon God Bloodline, his battle prowess surpassed General Long. Of course, the Dragon God Bloodline's amplification wasn't that scary. What was scary was the effect of the Dragon God Bloodline, which stacked the crazy damage system. The effect of the Dragon God Bloodline wouldn't clash with the crazy damage system. This was one of the reasons why he wanted to upgrade it. This meant that after upgrading the Dragon God Bloodline, it would be 32 times stronger. How could the effects be bad? Explode! Etienne's entire body was in the evil spirit state, and he was wrapped in thick Dragon God armor, which actually covered up the effects of the evil spirit set. It seemed like the further he upgraded, the more terrifying the effects would be. In this state, Etienne didn't even need to use his weapon. He just swung his fists. The space was smashed into pieces, turning into a red light that pierced down. Upon closer inspection, this red light was actually a huge red dragon twisting its huge body in space. Roar! The dragon's roar reverberated through space. In reality, it was energy spreading in all directions, pouring into everyone's heads and causing them to buzz. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of General Long and swung his fist. General Long was stunned. He didn't expect Etienne to initiate an attack. He quickly raised his wand to meet the attack. Boom! The fist smashed into the wand. With a muffled sound, General Long was sent flying. The wand stuck to his huge body and caved in. He felt his insides churning, as if his body was about to shatter. He was stunned. The humans that he had suppressed before, then fought to a draw with him, were now suppressing him in terms of strength. Etienne didn't stop. He didn't have much time. He had to end this quickly. Boom, boom, boom. Etienne was like a madman, punching General Long Tay again and again, and General Long T's body was about to explode. Every punch smashed into his body. The berserk power of the dragon, the scorching heretic god flame, and the astonishing gravity of the heaven-shaking divine art were all gathered in his fists. General Long T's body, which had become several times more berserk, was still blown apart by the punches. His body had caved in quite a bit, and his internal organs had been damaged. This was simply a brutal beating. Their general was brutally beaten just like that. The evil spirit race S were all stunned, their morale plummeting. General Long Tay was their general. Only when the general was domineering enough would their morale rise. Now that they had been ruthlessly beaten up, the evil spirit race that was paying attention to this side felt their hearts go cold. If the general died, would they still be able to win? The alliance experts below all noticed the situation over here. Since the barrier was gone, those with high cultivation could see what was going on outside. Seeing the two venerables fighting crazily, even they could feel the energy fluctuations. They were all very worried about Tianyun, and they believed that their great emperor could win. The result was not unexpected. Tianyun was getting stronger and stronger as he fought. He was actually starting to gain the upper hand. If this continued, General Long would definitely be beaten to a pulp. Ah! General Long Tay roared angrily. He ignored Tianyun's attack and forcefully waved his magic staff at Tianyun. With a dong sound, Tianyun stretched out his hand to block and was sent flying just like that. However, the damage to him was not big and could basically be ignored. After strengthening his dragon god bloodline, his defense had increased by tens of times. His skin was really thick. Damned human, I want you dead. General Long Tay roared towards the sky. The 4 arms on his back all exploded, leaving only the 2 in front of him. 4 arms exploded in one go, and he took out a bottle of black blood and fiercely swallowed it. The surface of his body started to gradually become incomparably black, and layers of thick black crystals even started to appear, looking extremely hard. Tianyun's eyes narrowed. After this, General Long Tay exploded. His combat power jumped crazily and was about to explode. But this number quickly stopped jumping and finally stopped at 4. 2 trillion battle power. He actually increased his combat power by nearly 10,000 in one go. This time, he completely exploded, and it was the type that did not care about his life. Tianyun could see that this was definitely an action that did not care about his life. If this continued, he would definitely not be able to hold on for too long. His body would probably explode. It was obvious that General Long T's patience had reached its limit. He would not drag this on, and wanted to kill Tianyun in the most domineering manner. He wanted to end everything. After all, with his previous state, he would not be able to hold on for too long. This state, which was similar to burning his blood essence, definitely could not be maintained for too long. Thus, he had to end the battle quickly. Dong! General Long Tay stepped on the ground and instantly appeared in front of Tianyun, his magic staff fiercely swinging down. Whether it was speed or strength, it was more than 10 times stronger than before. Tianyun's body paused, and he quickly waved his sword, clashing head-on with General Long Tay. Boom! Tianyun was sent flying like a ball, directly falling towards the direction of the mortal world, unable to stop. Like a huge meteorite, he quickly fell down and heavily smashed into the mortal world. Boom! A loud sound soared into the sky, and the entire mortal world shook. After the dust dissipated, a huge, deep pit appeared in front of them, and Tianyun was lying inside. Blood continued to gush out of his body, flowing all over the ground. The dragon armor on his body had been shattered, and his internal organs were on the verge of shattering. This power was really too terrifying. It was definitely not as simple as increasing his combat power by almost 1 trillion, but an overall increase in his strength. It was obviously related to the black blood. As if he had swallowed some potion, his combat power had greatly increased, and his strength was even more heaven-defying. More importantly, now that he had smashed into the mortal world, it meant that this place was about to become a battlefield. Outside, he could casually cause space to collapse. If he fought here, he would definitely destroy the mortal world. The effect of the heaven and earth divine rune has disappeared. Following that, he immediately lost hundreds of billions of combat power, and his strength greatly decreased. How could he compare to this General Long Tay now? He believed that as long as he continued to resist, even if he could not kill General Long Tay, he would still be able to delay for a while, and General Long Tay would definitely lose. Under such a situation, he would not be able to hold on for too long. But now, he could not even hold on for a short period of time. The gap between the two immediately widened by 6 to 700 billion, and the pressure doubled. He still had no heaven and earth god runes. Actually, he still had heaven and earth god runes. Yi Qingxian had previously prepared 2 for him, and in addition to the one she gave him a long time ago, he had 3. But he could not use them for now. They could not be used immediately, and needed at least a day before he could use them. Chapter 880. Without the heaven and earth god runes 5 times buff, but with the title's 10 times damage buff, it seemed more suitable, but the mortal world was definitely not a good battlefield. A little carelessness would spread to other areas, and there would be countless casualties. General Long Tay would definitely hold back. As for compressing the power and not letting it spread to the surrounding area, it was absolutely impossible. This was what he was worried about. Otherwise, he would have come down earlier and waited for General Long Tay to come down. With the 10 times damage buff, he would be invincible. However, for the safety of the 3 realms, the area he chose to fight and had always been outside. Now that it was smashed down, it immediately caused an uproar among the crowd. Their heavenly cloud's great emperor was smashed down just like that, and he seemed to have suffered some serious injuries. However, Yi Tianyan quickly bounced up from the ground and instantly replaced the longevity necklace and longevity ring with the longevity necklace and longevity ring. Yi Tianyan used the healing medicinal pill to heal his injuries as fast as possible. At this time, General Long T's figure appeared in the air. He turned his head and looked around contemptuously. Is this your environment? It's really garbage. However, it's really unexpected for such a strong cultivator to appear in such a garbage environment. His expression was full of contempt, but his heart was full of shock. It was really unexpected for such a strong cultivator to appear in such a cultivation environment. However, he didn't show it on his face. He still had an arrogant expression on his face. Xiao! Yi Tianyan disappeared in the blink of an eye, and the next moment, he appeared in front of General Long Tay. Teleportation. Open for me! He roared, and suddenly the 3 realms began to shake. The 3 heaven-ascending divine altars released dazzling light. Whether it was the 10 stars that fell to the ground or the ancient Ming divine pagoda below, they all began to release dazzling light. Immediately afterward, 3 phantoms appeared in the sky. They were the phantoms of the heaven creating Divine King and the others. The strongest will they left behind converged into the most overbearing power. In just a breath's time, the 3 realms gathered a terrible power, turned into a huge nail in the air, and fiercely pierced towards General Long Tay. The space around General Long Tay was instantly locked, and a golden light wall trapped him inside. This was the trump card left behind by the 3 godly monarchs. Even if Fiend Celestial Long Yu escaped, he could be suppressed for another 100 years. Yi Tianyan was currently using it on General Lanti. Although he didn't know how effective it would be, it was still worth a try. The main thing was that this effect included suppressing power and minimizing damage. In the blink of an eye, the huge nail pierced through the golden light. It looked like it had indeed pierced through General Long. Yi Tianyan did not stay idle. He also raised the evil spirit divine sword and unleashed his dragon god bloodline. Once again, he aimed at General Long and slashed down, wanting to cut him in half. With the 10 times increase, his battle power suddenly soared to more than 700 billion, reaching 4 trillion battle power, almost catching up to General Lanti. Clang! A deafening sound rang out, as if it had smashed into some sharp metal weapon. When the golden light disappeared, General Long appeared in front of him and scathed. There was not a single wound on his body. The combined power of the 3 godly monarchs was unable to cause any damage to General Long Tay. It looked like the black crystal on his body had completely blocked it. More importantly, General Long had actually caught Yi Tianyan's tyrannical sword with his bare hands. However, this sword with all his might had still caused damage to General Long Tay. It had even pierced through the crystal and sunk in. Thick black blood flowed out and flowed down his palm to the ground. When it touched the ground, it actually melted the ground, creating an unfathomably deep hole. Just a single drop of blood was enough to pierce through heaven and earth. It was truly unbelievable. What was even more unbelievable was that General Long Tay had caught this sword. Previously, when the difference was not too great, he could at least send someone flying. Now, he could not even send someone flying, yet he had caught this attack with his bare hands. It was enough to show that General Long Tay was very confident in his physique. He believed that Tianyun would definitely not be able to break through his defense. He can still get stronger? General Long T's expression changed. He was very confident in himself, but his hand had almost been chopped off. He thought that he could completely suppress Tianyun. How did he suddenly catch up? It was truly strange. This was the result of sacrificing 8 of his arms and drinking a bottle of blood. What changes did the other party have? He had never seen it before. He did not consume any berserk pills, nor did he have any other changes. He did not even burn his essence blood. Yet, he was getting stronger and stronger. It was truly too strange. I can't let you live. General Long Tay pulled Tianyun over and threw a punch at Tianyun. When Tianyun was pulled over, he felt a terrifying force forcefully pulling him over. Then he quickly let go and swung his fist to meet General Long Tay head-on. Boom! The two fists collided. After the violent forces collided, both of their bodies trembled. Tianyun was directly sent flying, while General Long Tay only took half a step back. Along the way, a violent force pressed down in all directions, causing the ground to sink. Because the pressure was too strong, a huge crack appeared on the ground and quickly split open in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the area within a radius of 100 miles was immediately destroyed. Many flowers and trees were crushed into powder. Some places on the ground were also crushed into dust and drifted in all directions. With just a simple punch, the area within 100 miles was destroyed. If they continued to fight, the mortal world would definitely be gone. Especially the space. The sky began to slightly collapse. The originally blue sky became incomparably dark, as if there were many black holes hanging in the sky. What a powerful force! Tianyun quickly stopped moving. His arm felt like it was about to be crippled. His heart sank. There was clearly only a difference of 200 billion battle power, but why did it feel like there was a difference of trillions of battle power? His eyes sized up General Long T's body, but he could not see anything. He could only analyze his vast battle power. I don't know how your battle power is getting stronger and stronger, but I have the blessing of the king's blood. How can a mere attack hurt me? General Long T's figure changed and rushed towards Tianyun, not giving Tianyun any chance to catch his breath. King's blood. Chapter 881. Boom, boom, boom. General Long Tay rushed over and punched Tianyun. He didn't use his magic wand. He only used his fists. It was not that he was merciful, but after consuming the blood, his body was already comparable to a mid-quality divine artifact. Without using a weapon, just smashing with his fist was faster and more agile than a weapon. Tianyun did not fear and swung his fists. They collided again and again, but he was forced back again and again. The blood vessels on his arms were crushed, and blood kept flowing out. It was a heart-wrenching sight. However, with their violent attacks, the area began to collapse on a large scale, and everything in its path was destroyed. If this continued, it would definitely affect the other empires. Tianyun could only keep bringing him around, so the ground was destroyed again and again. He was about to break through the ground. He was fighting with all his might, and the others were also fighting with all their might. They were fighting bravely and killing the invaders. At the same time, many people were paying attention to the situation here. When they saw Tianyun covered in blood, their hearts tightened. Tianyun, Shuyun bit her lips. After waving her sword to kill the evil spirit race, she looked at the situation in the distance. They could only see a blurry figure and could not see the battle. Only when they stopped could they see it a little more clearly. They could clearly feel the energy rippling over from the other side. If it continued to come here, they would definitely be dead. Even if it did not come close, the sky had already darkened, and the space was starting to collapse. The areas that had not been affected before were starting to collapse. This was the negative effect of space collapsing. It would affect the entire world. As the collapse became more and more serious, the world would become worse and worse, and even the mortal world would disappear. After all, after the space collapsed, the surrounding environment would be sucked into the collapsed space bit by bit. This was not devouring, but repairing the collapsed space. It would be fine if the collapsed space was small, but if it was too large, by the time the collapsed space was repaired, more than half of the mortal world would be gone. Sure, Shuyan wasn't the only one who was worried about Etianyan. The others were also worried, but they couldn't do anything to help. Don't even mention helping. If they were to get close, they would probably be killed by that energy. However, they were not idle at all. They were constantly dealing with the evil spirit race that was charging down. They mainly killed Spirit King stage cultivators. And as for Saint King stage cultivators, they left them to the heavenly clouds, Empire's guardian deities. Although many of the evil spirit race's cultivators were at the Saint King stage, the spirit arrays they had arranged were not weak, and some of them could even trap a Saint King stage powerhouse. After they were trapped, they could be killed. Everything seemed so perfect, but in reality, from the very beginning, the three realms had been constantly suffering casualties, and the number was still rising. The disparity in strength was simply too great. Even if he could make up for it through other means, it was still difficult to make up for it in terms of cultivation. It wasn't just the mortal realm. The casualties of the other two realms continued to increase. This clearly showed them what a true battle of life and death was. In the next moment, they could be swallowed up or killed with a single slap. The thick stench of blood permeated the entire three realms, and one could practically smell it in every corner. Kill. We have to protect our home. Yes, kill them all. Even if we die, we will drag them down with us. Bastards. You bastards. Go to hell. One by one, regardless of their own safety, they rushed forward. They knew that even if they hid, they would still die in the end, so they might as well die a glorious death. However, many of them hid and didn't fight. There were all kinds of people in this war, and all kinds of people were exposed here. There were even people who begged for mercy from the evil spirit race or were willing to become their slaves. However, these evil spirit race didn't listen to them at all. As long as they saw someone who wasn't from the same race, they would kill or devour them. No matter what they said, they didn't care. The order they received was to come down and occupy them, and it had nothing to do with them if they surrendered or begged for mercy. The so-called occupation here didn't mean that they would surrender, but that they would kill or devour all the strong cultivators. As for the weak ones, they could deal with them later. For now, they just needed to kill all the cultivators that were close to them. It was that simple. Some people were cowardly, while others were brave. Fortunately, there were more brave people. They were all afraid of death, but they wouldn't kneel and beg for mercy. In any case, it was useless to kneel and beg for mercy. The result was to fight with their lives on the line. While the three realms were fighting crazily, Etianyan and Long Tay continued to attack crazily, destroying the heavens and earth. For a time, Etianyan and General Long Tay were fighting to a draw. At most, they would lose by a little. However, his body was already covered in wounds, and he looked terrible. However, he still stubbornly held on, as if he was waiting for an opportunity. Why aren't you becoming stronger? Continue to become stronger, trash. General Long Tay continuously attacked and said mockingly, "Weren't you very arrogant before? Why are you getting weaker and weaker now?" The three realms are gradually being devoured. You will definitely lose. Don't make such a pointless struggle. Is that so? I don't think so. Etianyun's eyes were filled with determination. He didn't think that they had lost. All sorts of system sounds kept ringing in his ears, which meant that they had been fighting. So many people were fighting, so why wasn't he fighting with his life on the line? Still so stubborn in the face of death. General Long T's attack speed is getting faster and faster, and Etianyan is already on the ground. Etianyan is already on the ground. Etianyan was still fighting back. Their fists collided, and the ground around them was already destroyed. All that was left was an incomparably deep pit. He didn't know how many bones in his body were broken, but he still stubbornly held on. There was still hope. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to 4th level God King. The corner of his mouth curled into a smile. This was the hope he had been waiting for. Scram! Tianyun roared, and at the moment when their fists collided, his combat power once again exploded. 1 trillion combat power. 2 trillion combat power. 5 trillion combat power. 98 trillion combat power. After advancing to the next level, his combat power was instantly stacked by 45 times. Even if the breakthrough only increased his combat power by 10 billion, it would increase his combat power by 450 billion. The problem was that the breakthrough did not only increase his combat power by 10 billion, but more than 20 billion combat power. Dong! Chapter 882. A thick beam of light burst out from Tianyun's fist, instantly striking General Long and sending him flying. Countless black crystal fragments scattered on the ground, leaving only a thick beam of light that pierced through the heavens and earth. In just an instant, a shocking reversal had occurred. This was the power of leveling up. His cultivation had broken through just like that. This was all the credit of his allies. They fought bravely, and coupled with the 377 times experience, he successfully broke through to the 3rd stage of the God King stage. He had been persisting, waiting for this moment. As long as his cultivation increased by a level, he would have absolute hope. Originally, he knew that it would be difficult for him to deal with General Long, so he had prioritized the Saint King stage evil spirit race, who knew that General Long would be so overbearing and quickly intercepted him, making it impossible for him to level up easily. Otherwise, he would have leveled up long ago. Not to mention 1 level, even 2 levels would be more than enough. With so many Saint King stage evil spirit race experts, killing them all would probably be enough to level up by 3 levels. However, there was no problem now, it was just that he was a little late. He fiercely swung his fist, smashing General Long and causing him to vomit blood. The hard black crystal on his body was also smashed. The black crystal was hard enough, but that was only when the difference in cultivation was not too big. Now that his combat strength was a level higher than General Long's, he could naturally deal with the enemy easily. After the light disappeared, General Long fell heavily from the sky and smashed into the ground. More than half of the black crystal on his body had been smashed. He looked very miserable, and there was not a single piece of flesh on his body that was unharmed. His originally sturdy body quickly shrank and shrunk a lot in an instant, turning into a thin and weak old man, lying on the ground in a shriveled state. Of course, this effect was not because Tianyun's strength had reached such a level, but because after General Long was sent flying, the force that had been supporting him had completely dissipated. Now, the side effects of the eruption had appeared. His body had shrunk, let alone a few years. Even if he was given 1,000 years, he might not be able to return to his previous peak state. His cultivation had fallen sharply. Tianyun's appraisal, I could accurately see the data, which meant that he had directly dropped by a great realm. There were pros and cons to this kind of situation where one had to sacrifice 800 men in order to injure the enemy. It might seem refreshing to explode, but it was still a gamble. Once they lost, they would lose completely. Now, General Lonti couldn't even walk, let alone escape. His body had shriveled up like an old man, and his sturdy appearance was gone forever. Without 1,000 years of recovery, it would be difficult to recover. And this was under the condition that he had to take all kinds of pills in order to recover in such a short period of time. If it wasn't for such a strong side effect, General Long would have exploded his entire arm long ago, instead of exploding it bit by bit. It was the same when cultivators burned their blood essence. If they burned it all at once, even if they didn't die, they would need a long time to recover. At that time, his lifespan would come to an end, and his cultivation would not be able to recover. Tianyun took a deep breath and flew towards General Long. He looked at him coldly and said, "You've lost. You How could you still be hiding your strength? General Longte wanted to sit up, but he couldn't. He had expended too much energy and was basically in a state of deficit. How could he move? He was just a piece of trash waiting to be slaughtered. Hiding my strength? No, I'm not hiding my strength. I just broke through. Tianyun smiled indifferently. You've lost this battle. Unfortunately, you've failed again. Broke through? General Longte's eyes were filled with disbelief. Even if he had broken through, he was still a God King stage cultivator. How could he crush him so easily? Immediately after, he revealed a contemptuous smile. So what if we lost? Once the ancestral land finds out that we've lost, they will send a stronger force to suppress you. Next time, it will be the time of your death. This time, General Longte had died. Next time, there was no doubt that they would send a more terrifying force. It was even possible that they would send someone several levels stronger than General Longte. Why did you choose to occupy the three realms? The gap between this place and your side is so big. Why do you insist on doing this? Tianyun looked at him coldly. Sending people to attack again and again was something that he couldn't believe. Through this battle, he knew that the gap between the two sides was too great. They weren't even on the same level. The three realms didn't have enough resources to cultivate so many Saint King stage powerhouses. Since you want to know, I'll tell you. We just want to take away your core. It's that simple. The core here is quite different. It's obviously a small star field, but it's comparable to the core of a large star field. General Longte revealed a longing look, as if he was looking at a treasure. Tianyun didn't understand what General Longte meant, but he knew that the three realms was a treasure. Moreover, it was a very tempting treasure. In order to obtain this core, you won't hesitate to sacrifice countless lives. Tianyun stared at General Longte and said. However, after saying this, he suddenly felt relieved. Many cultivators were like this. In order to obtain a treasure, they would kill the owner or even their entire family. Are you an idiot? The weak are prey to the strong. This is the truth. You're too weak, and you have such a treasure. If I don't destroy you, who else can I destroy? General Longte laughed loudly. There was no despair in his eyes. He knew that even if he died, there would still be people coming to kill them. However, if he died, he wouldn't be able to complete the mission. Don't worry. You don't need to come personally. I will kill them, Tianyun said coldly. Your strength is not worth mentioning. General Longte smiled brightly. He didn't think that Tianyun could flatten their ancestral land. And, to me, your ancestral land is also not worth mentioning. I almost forgot to tell you something. It took me 20 years to cultivate to this level. If you give me a few more decades, what level do you think I will reach? Under General Longte's shocked gaze, Tianyun grabbed General Longte's head and began to search his soul. He wanted to know more about the situation in the ancestral land and the outside world. However, while searching his soul, General Longte's body began to become unstable. He felt like he was about to explode. Damn it. Chapter 883. Ding! Successfully killed General Longte. Reward. 1. 88 billion EXP, 20 million crazy point, 1 million SBS. Obtained Evil Spirit Blood, Evil Spirit Soul, and Evil Spirit Bone. Evil Soul Divine Sword, High-Grade Divine Tool. Evil Soul Armor, High-Grade Divine Tool. Evil Soul Boots, High-Grade Divine Tool. 100 times EXP card. Ding! Reward, 100 billion EXP, 5 million crazy point, 5 million proficiency, 2 super enhanced lottery draws. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to 5th level God King stage. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to 6th level God King stage. Jumping 2 levels in a row is as easy as drinking water. This was all based on the premise of 377 times experience points. Almost 2 trillion EXP, which is unprecedented. This is the EXP of high cultivation. The higher the level, the more terrifying the EXP. The other data is also terrifying. The higher the level, the more EXP it brings. However, he could only level up 2 levels like this, so he could only be considered average. He needs a lot of EXP to level up, and after 2 consecutive levels, he will need more EXP to level up. I can't let these things go. Tianyan quickly collected the things that General Long Tay dropped after the explosion. There are a lot of good things inside. He just doesn't know if there is any information about the ancestral land inside, or if there is any other information. But after checking, there is basically nothing inside, just a pile of medicinal pills, some materials, and weapons. There is no other information about the ancestral land at all. Of course, this is not necessary. As long as there is a Spirit King stage soldier, he can still interrogate them. After killing General Long Tay, all the evil spirit race in the 3 realms were dumbfounded. They clearly felt that their general's aura is gone. He was killed just like that. General is dead? The evil spirit race was stunned. Their invincible general died in the hands of the lowly human race. They are stunned, but it doesn't mean that the cultivators are stunned. The cultivators of the Alliance felt a surge of excitement in their hearts. They continued to kill their enemies bravely, becoming even more ferocious than before. We won. This was the biggest thought in his mind. If the strongest one was dead, then the remaining ones were nothing to be afraid of. Their morale skyrocketed in an instant, and their strength to kill the enemy increased by a few notches. At the same time, the evil spirit race's side did not have enough confidence to resist. Their morale rapidly dropped, and they could not even unleash half of their usual strength. This was the result of the death of their leader. If the general was dead, what else could they do? Tianyan won. Sure, Shuiyun's side was equally agitated. All of their faces were pale. They were having a hard time resisting. However, the ground was littered with corpses. Some belonged to their enemies, and some belonged to them. When they saw that Tianyan had won, tears welled up in their eyes. They had finally made it this time. Go all out. Tianyan flew up, and the longevity necklace that he was wearing swiftly began healing his body. At the same time, tens of thousands of holy artifacts floated in the air. Under his control, they pushed towards the mortal world, killing all the evil spirit races under their swords. Experience points were rising rapidly, but the time limit of the experience card was almost up. Tianyan was not stingy. He continued to buy a set of experience cards and continued to slaughter the evil spirit races. Killing so many Saint King stage experts would give him a lot of experience points, so he must not waste them. The next situation was a one-sided slaughter. With Tianyan joining the battle, everything became much easier. The God Kings who were fighting with the Dragon King and the others outside were easily killed. It was no different from mowing grass. However, the mysterious old man from the ghost world was seriously injured and dying. When he learned that he had won the battle, he died with a smile on his face. His mission has been completed, so he died without regrets. Soon, all the evil spirit races in the 3 realms were killed by Tianyan. After killing the last evil spirit race, a sweet voice sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyan for successfully breaking through to the 8th level of God King stage. Tianyan broke through to the 8th level of God King stage. After killing all the evil spirit races at the Saint King stage and Spirit King stage, he jumped 2 levels. This was the effect of high experience points. There were more than 400 Saint King stage cultivators, and after killing all of them, he would get trillions of experience points. Including the Spirit King stage experts and the God King stage expert, it was only enough for him to break through to the 3rd level. It can only be said that the amount of experience points needed to level up is too much. It's finally over. After Tianyan killed the last evil spirit race, everything was over, and he finally succeeded. After successfully resisting the evil spirit race, he won the battle. One by one, the cultivators hugged each other and cried. They cried tears of joy, but most of them were sad. Because too many people died this time, everyone was sad. If it wasn't for Tianyan's preparation in advance, I'm afraid more people would have died. In theory, the number of deaths this time was quite considerable. It wasn't particularly high. It's not a waste to prepare so much in advance. It's just that the enemies were too strong, Even if they were prepared, it was inevitable that some people died. No matter what, it's all over. Tianyun returned to the mortal world. The mortal world also suffered heavy casualties. Many familiar faces had disappeared, but most of them were still there. After all, in the mortal world, Tianyun was a little selfish. Compared to the other two realms, the mortal world is much stronger. However, it was inevitable that some cultivators died, but everything was within the acceptable range. We succeeded, Tianyun walked over. When they saw him, they all stood up excitedly and wanted to welcome their king back. You don't need to move, continue to heal. Tianyun walked to Shishuyun and hugged her. He buried his head in her neck and said solemnly, we won, we won. Shishuyun hugged him tightly. Tears blur her vision. Her white dress, she doesn't know how much blood is stained. She can't tell which is her own and which is others. Today was the day the war would end. After the end, the three realms entered a state of rest, and soon all the forces in the three realms thought that Tianyun is the guardian of the three realms and that he is qualified to rule the three realms. One by one, they were willing to obey his orders. If it weren't for Tianyun running around, they would have definitely suffered more casualties. Therefore, they were absolutely convinced, and no one dared to disobey. Ding! Successfully completed the three realms' ultimate quest, resist the invaders, destroy them, and complete the true unification of the three realms. Rewards: 200 billion EXP, 10 million crazy points, 10 million SBS, 10 million mastery points. And the three titles merged into a new title, God of the Three Realms. Under the consensus, Tianyun became the true ruler of the three realms. At the same time, he completed the ultimate quest and received a lot of rewards. God of the Three Realms. Stay anywhere in the three realms. Damage increased by 20 times. Commander points increased by 200,000. Defense increased by 20 times. Healing speed increased by 20 times. Speed increased by 20 times. Chapter 884. God of the Three Realms. Tianyun looked at this title and sighed in his heart. If he had obtained this title before, it would have definitely been heaven-defying. What General Lani could easily be blasted apart by him with a single punch. It didn't even take much effort. After this great battle, the three realms regained its peace and continued to live and cultivate as before. However, everyone remembered this battle. It was a dark moment, and almost everyone participated in it. Those with low cultivation bases served as logistics, constantly helping to heal their injuries. Thus, during that period of time, no one was idle. However, after Tianyun won, everything was resolved in a short period of time. If it was a normal battle, it would take at least a few days and nights, or even a few weeks. However, under Tianyun's 10,000 swords, everything was so simple. He easily harvested all the evil spirit race and completed the support of the three realms. If not for him, the losses of the three realms would have definitely spread to the maximum. Among them, the Heaven Realm suffered the greatest losses. Those divine nations that chose not to join the alliance were basically flattened. Those who stayed behind hated the king to the extreme. Even if they were already dead, they still wanted to step on their corpses. After all, there were losses on the alliance's side, but it was definitely not to such a degree. Most of them survived. Those who did not join the alliance did not survive. This was the difference between them. After this matter, Tianyun's reputation reached its peak. He could definitely be called the god of the three realms. At the same time, in a huge star field in the vast outer region, there were countless evil spirit races. They were all distributed among the various planets here. On one of the largest planets, there were many evil spirit races in the hall. Among them, the evil spirit races who were sitting on the throne in the center of the hall casually leaned back in their seats. Their eyes were very calm, and their expressions did not reveal any dignity. However, the people below were trembling, afraid of angering the king in front of them. Big king, there's news that the attack on that small star field has failed. One of the experts stepped forward and reported. The king, who was sitting on the throne, looked at him and said indifferently, "Didn't I ask you to do this matter? It seems to have been a long time. I almost forgot." Yes. We've attacked 3 times in total, but we've already failed. We guessed that this small star area belonged to some big force. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so hard to capture it. We will quickly make arrangements and continue to send more experts over to seize that star field. We will definitely win this time. It was our negligence that caused us to waste so much time. The minister knelt down and hurriedly tried to remedy the situation. Although the king in front of him didn't show the slightest bit of anger, his back was already dripping with cold sweat and his whole body was trembling. The calmer it was, the more terrifying it was. It was even possible that it would slap him. "Didn't you investigate properly before?" The king said indifferently. "Yes, we've investigated and found that they don't belong to any faction. Perhaps it was only recently subdued, which is why we don't know." The minister hurriedly said, "But we will continue to investigate. We will send people to eradicate them after we investigate thoroughly." "Well, I'll give you one last chance. If you can't do it, you know the result." The high and mighty king looked down calmly. Yes. This time, we will definitely do it well. There will be no mistakes," the minister hurriedly said. After saying that, he immediately got up and went to do it. There must be no mistakes in this matter. If there was a mistake, the result would be a dead end. This was already his 4th chance. If he still failed, then he would really lose his head. After the minister left, they continued to discuss the next thing. After the discussion here was over, Tianyun began to hold the grandest wedding. The place where the wedding was held was the heavenly cloud's imperial capital of the mortal world. All the powerhouses of the 3 realms came to congratulate. Each powerhouse offered their treasures. This was the wedding of the god of the 3 realms. How could they be stingy? Since the restrictions were lifted, the 3 realms could now be freely traveled. With Tianyun's current strength, it was not difficult to remove the restrictions at all. The previous restrictions were all removed, and the passage was freely accessible. Tianyun did this to make it easier for everyone to act and support each other. Anyway, the 3 realms had been unified, so many things were easy to arrange. There was no need to worry about the mortal world becoming a battlefield. With him in charge, who would dare to act recklessly? On this day, the Heavenly Cloud's empire celebrated. The Heavenly Cloud's imperial capital was extremely beautifully decorated. Many phoenixes and dragons descended one after another, creating the auspicious effect of dragons and phoenixes. When the newlyweds set foot on the specially built altar, everyone was excited. One was the emperor, the other was the empress. Tianyun was the emperor, and Shiyun was the empress. Many women below were envious. They all wanted to be the empress, but they were not qualified. Iyue and the others were the same. They all wanted to marry Tianyun, but they all knew that Tianyun only loved Shiyun. No one could enter his heart. They could only be regarded as confidants, not wives. Although it was a pity, they did not regret it. They were willing to serve Tianyun for the rest of their lives. On the altar, Tianyun held Shiyun's little hand and said with a faint smile, "I said that the 3 realms would be your dowry. Did you do it now?" Shiyun held his warm, big hand tightly and gently leaned into his arms. Looking at the many powerhouses below the altar, she smiled slightly and said, "It's good to live a peaceful life. There's no need to be so grand. I understand, but sometimes you should have your own part of things." Tianyun looked up at the sky and gently waved his hand. Immediately, colorful clouds appeared in the sky, fluttering in the sky. Immediately, 5 colorful lights shrouded them and shone on them. Under this situation, everyone suddenly rejoiced. This meant that the ceremony had officially begun. Immediately, he held Shiyun's little hand and said with a faint smile, "Shiyun, are you willing to marry me?" "I am willing." Shiyun nodded. Her eyes were already wet with tears. These were tears of happiness. "Then I, Tianyun, hereby announce that Shiyun and I are husband and wife." He didn't say anything too fancy, nor did he exaggerate too much. He just announced it simply like that. Yun's tears immediately gushed out. There was no confession more moving than this. Under the witness of everyone in the three realms, they became husband and wife and received the blessings of everyone in the three realms. Apart from them, no one else could have such an honor. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.